Alright, everybody, welcome to the Eerie Hours. I'm your host, Gene Skinner, and that was the song Gothia by, it's dark magic music is the notations of it, by Peter Grundy, who's a composer on YouTube. I'm going to put that in the music section of the Discord. I would put it in, the general here too, the chat, but usually fucking YouTube will always say that as spam, so I'm not doing that. So if you want to listen to that again, it is going to be there for you to listen to at any time of your leisure. But yes, welcome now to the Eerie Hours. Tonight's subject was going to be about one Goatman, but apparently there's more than one, so I'll just do a catch-all for all that. Before we begin the stream, though, I'm going to give a shout-out to Spooky Movie Night. Harry and Spooky and the Boys have a stream planned at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a double feature of, let me go back up here, because they're counting down Halloween and everything, as you do. Let's get up here. It's WNF Halloween Special and Freddy's Dead. WNF Holiday Special is one I've covered before, a movie I've reviewed. Really good shit. Really fun movie to definitely play for the holidays for sure, and especially when you're winding up for Halloween. So now before we fully get in, I got my beer to open here. I have got the Munster Fest by Three Floyds Brewing. I don't know why the fuck it said it like that, or I said it like that. My mouth is slurring. I don't know why. I haven't even opened the beer yet. So it is an Oktoberfest styled lager. It happens to be a 6%er, and I'm pouring it in my pint glass. I'll show you a very nice amber color to it. Very nice head on too. I'll show you what the bottle itself looks like in the Gene's Tiki Cocktail corner. And I obviously, like usual, even though I did do something more recently that's going to be a bit different from now on, I usually buy stuff from Halftime Beverage when I buy stuff online, because that's what I do. But I did purchase from another place more recently, so I'm going to be talking about them eventually. They're another big online retailer for alcohol. Again, and like someone would say, not a sponsor, but no, it's obvious they're not a sponsor to me. Nobody would sponsor me. It's me. I mean, the only people that probably would be BetterHelp, but no, I ain't going for that. Shit, no. Alright. Let's move on to our first video here to learn about the Goatman legend. Wait, is it this one? Oh, okay, it is this one. Here we go. Look at this grainy-ass footage. Let's actually scroll down a little bit to get a better view of the car.
November 15th, 1967.
Raid Shadow
Police
Legends.
discover an abandoned
Buy a
car
mobile
beside Old Alton
spyware
Bridge,
game.
5 miles south of Denton, Texas.
Get your
A rash of
Raycon
mysterious
hearing
disappearances
set with
are becoming
NordVPN.
alarmingly routine on a chilling stretch of road that is known by locals as the Goatman's Bridge.
The Goatman's Bridge.
Constructed in 1884, the bridge connected Louisville to
You should get
Alton.
a sponsorship
The turn of
with
the
Coke
century
beer.
brought a black goat farmer and his family to a residence just north of the bridge, and a few short years later, Oscar Washburn was known as a dependable, honest businessman. North Texans endearingly began to call him the Goatman. But the success of a black man was still unwelcome, and Klansmen in the local government turned to
shit, North
violence
Carolina, what you
after
doing?
he displayed
Oh,
a
wait.
sign on Alton Bridge, "This way to the Goatman's." One night in
Goatman's.
August 1938, with their headlights off, the Klansmen crossed the bridge, dragged the Goatman from his family, and lynched him over the side.
That's from a
Peering
picture that
over
has
into the
nothing to do with
water,
that,
his
but,
murderers saw a rope, but not his
That
body.
is a very famous
In a
picture of a guy being
panic, the
lynched.
Klansmen returned to the Washburn residence and killed his family in cold blood.
Wow.
Since the disappearance of the Goatman, there have been many strange sightings on
look,
and near Old
Democrats.
Alton Bridge.
Yeah, that's who those
Some
people
say
were.
his spirit still haunts these
Every
woods.
single person was who
Locals
killed
tell
that
the
man.
story and follow it with a warning. Those who cross the bridge with no headlights will be met on the other side by the Goatman. After numerous abandoned vehicles and missing persons, a new bridge was constructed directly downstream, but Old Alton Bridge, the Goatman's Bridge, remains still open to foot traffic. It is under surveillance by the paranormal investigators of North Texas and the Denton County
Oh, wait, this
Paranormal
is
Investigators.
Texas now? Okay.
Oscar Washburn was
There's
never
like a
seen
few
again
places.
and has been presumed dead since his attempted murder.
So this is one legend of the Goatman, because there's one in Texas. The more famous ones like the Kentucky Goatman, the North Carolina Goatman. So this apparently is one I didn't even know about. So this is where we start. Okay, chat? We're going to get more Goatman stories. And I guess they all end up with people dying and then Goatmen coming. I don't know. We'll see. Some are not even in the United States. Some are like in New Zealand and shit. So that's what I found when I like dug for about, I don't know, 30 minutes to just see Goatman videos on YouTube. We got this shit. So, keep that in mind. Yep, North Carolina has one. Maryland has one technically too. There's a few. Well, thank you, Silk Olive, in 2008 when you made this. Thanks. Alright, next. Got some eyewitness accounts of the Goatman. Horror stories from What Lurks Beneath. So let's take a watch of this.
While many of these stories are not my own, I've acquired them from over a period of time, from many people I've talked to many people I know. Call me a wannabe amateur cryptozoology researcher, or something of that nature. But I just enjoy collecting stories of things that are not supposed to exist. The topic in question is the sighting and existence of the Goatman. Is this a folklore tale, or is this more true than ever before? Well, around the Blue Hill Mountain area, settled in northeast Georgia,
Oh, now we got Georgia.
there's far more encounters and sightings of this particular cryptid than ever
Well, at least
before.
all Goatmen.
I've had many
Well,
eyewitnesses
imagine.
come forward with their own harrowing tales of seeing this supposed beast walking around, stalking their houses, killing pets and family members, and far, far worse, by
Did I post
terrorizing entire groups
think I
of
did.
communities. The first story
Did I?
I wanted to share with you
Yes, I did. Okay.
was by
So,
an
as you
older
can see, the bottle's
gentleman
pretty nice looking.
who lived by
With
himself
the, Munster
against
Fest
the Appalachian
you, looked at it in
Mountains,
the Gene's Tiki Cocktail
kind
Bar.
of more tucked into the woods, not
Sorry, I'm
entirely a
ruining
loner.
the story by talking over
But his
it, I
wife
know.
had passed many years prior, and all of his children grown up and moved far away. He didn't have much,
Children don't grow up.
but he was by himself.
That's what Peter Pan
This
taught
man
me.
was not a man of ghosts, supernatural,
Now it's going to get me
God,
into a live action
or angels, but he could not deny the existence of what he calls the Goatman, because he had seen it with his own two eyes on multiple occasions. He described it as exactly what it sounds like: a creature looking to be half human, half goat, a perfect hybrid of the two, but not in the way that Greek mythology depicts them,
So a satyr?
with a flute in the mouth, and being very gentle, docile beings. These things, from what he told me, were very violent and attempted to take his life
Chupacabras from
on
like,
several different
Puerto Rico.
occasions. He told me, and his words were, that he believes this thing targeted him because he was an easy target, being elderly, all alone, as if it made him more fragile and weak and easier to overcome. But they never did. He kept an old rifle, passed down from his old grandfather, that he had claimed to me saved his life on more than just one occasion. These things,
Oh
for
yeah,
whatever
that's right.
he also
Save
told
your
me,
Goatman.
have a fear of fire. He would light torches around his house, as well as looked into handcrafting some sort of handmade flamethrower-like device, not like the ones you see in movies, but some way to project flame directly out forward without being too dangerous. However, he never did achieve such a thing.
Well, good job.
Along with the fear of fire, they also
Well, at
appear to
least our
only
state.
be nocturnal, and that they've only ever tried to break into his house during dusk or nighttime. He's never seen them during the day, only when the light is low enough, but describes them with the words demonic, horrific, and vicious. And this same old man, and for the sake of his identity, I'll keep his name anonymous, but we'll call him Henry, just so you can understand who I'm referring to, claims that he had been living in the house he is for well over 30 years, but has only recently started to see them in the past 10, which he believes is a cycle. They only come around every
Cycle?
so few years, for a short amount of time. And that's what he believes. Judging from other encounters and eyewitness stories, I don't exactly myself personally believe that. It could just be that they travel through specific areas, through specific years and seasons, but I don't know. I'm trying to gather as much information on Goatman as I possibly can. It's a rather new cryptid for me, so I'm still learning as I go. But, like the skinwalkers of the Navajo region, and other cryptids that appear to be specific to different regions of the United States and the world, I've only ever heard of Goatman in the South, ranging from Texas all the way to the East Coast. So, myself, I'm wondering if this is some sort of demonic summoning ritual, or perhaps there is something more at play here than any of those things. Anything I can comprehend personally, because by the different accounts that I've read and been told, they all lead me to different directions.
That sounds like a fan
as far as this creature's origins.
Shrug.
Henry's encounters with these Goatmen seem to come and go, and last I spoke with him, which was just a few months back, he hadn't had any encounters with these things for at least a couple years, which is good for him.
Yeah.
Another lady, whom we'll call Annabelle, had a family with a husband, 3 kids, and a dog, living very close to Texarkana, which is the border to Texas and Arkansas.
No, really?
She said that she saw one in the process of strangulating her Rottweiler until her husband shot it right in the head, but didn't even seem to hurt it. But the shot was successful in driving the creature away, whether that be in fear of getting shot again or what, I'm not sure. But you think any rifle should be enough to kill anything, especially when a bullet is aimed at the skull of any living creature. This is not the case, which is partially the reason why I'm leaning somewhere on the side of this being a supernatural entity, because there are things that just defy reality. Annabelle and her family had never seen the likes of this creature before, not until this one offshoot time where it revealed itself, not caring that it can be seen by the entire neighborhood, nearly killing her dog, but only shortly before her husband noticed and took immediate action. Since this happened, back in the summer of 2012, they have not seen it return, but after speaking with Annabelle's husband on the phone, he has told me that he still hears screams sometimes, far off in the backwoods.
You know, as you do.
They're not always there, and
It's
sometimes they're more faint than other times.
Constantly.
But he says he believes the screams are from this creature, whatever it is, since he knows just about every sound of every animal they live around, and it matches no known description of any creature he's ever run into. Another very interesting account, which I personally attribute much credibility to, this particular individual. They used to serve as an officer, and I hold their word as very truthful. They have nothing to gain out of making this up, and after speaking to said individual, they wished to remain completely anonymous, so we'll call them Daniel. Daniel told me
Shout out
that
to
when
the
he was an
Goatman
officer
for $2.99.
working
That's what's
up
up,
in the
tubes.
state of Maine for about 4 years, he was driving in a very rural area in Maine when this
great.
thing could be
Is Stephen
seen
King there? Could he
standing
hit
up
him,
in a
please?
field next to the road. He told me he got a full look at it, from head to toe, or what could be seen in the tall grass, and said at first he assumed it might be a person with a Halloween costume and a prop.
But it wasn't.
But the more he looked at it and studied it, he realized it was far too realistic looking. And the most disturbing part is that it was indeed holding a weapon, looking somewhat like an old-style axe. He was so shocked
was
and intrigued
indeed
by
a
this
weapon.
sighting, he actually slowed down his police car and took a second to really take it all in. The creature, because the direction it was facing, didn't seem to take notice to his car, but he got more than enough of a viewing than he ever could have wanted to. He told me that prior to that sighting, he had never even heard of or been made aware of the folklore legend of the Goatman, and when he saw it, he was not only terrified, but puzzled at what he could be looking at.
Until they made that
Now,
window bigger.
Daniel knows all too well that these creatures do exist.
They do
And not just
exist.
the southern states, but all along the East Coast as well. Another bizarre yet fascinating story comes from another man in his 30s that I spoke to recently. His name is Paul. Last name I won't reveal. But in the past year or two, He was hiking in eastern Pennsylvania when he encountered a strange smell and feeling. He said, if you've ever been in a thunderstorm, there's a smell to it. You could feel the denseness and the humidity in the air. You can just feel a storm coming. That's what he told me that he perceived all around him, just from the moisture, the humidity, and the smell. Only problem was, the day he was out hiking around, it was clear skies, bright and sunny, and in March. Then, he went on to say that for a brief amount of time, the air surrounding him, from feet to head, became filled with static electricity, and he felt the hair on his body and head stand up.
Goats have toes.
He told
they
me
have hooves.
it was
they got,
one of the
like,
strangest sensations
they do
he's
have
ever
toes,
had.
technically. I mean, they
It
got
only
like
lasted
they're
for
bovine,
maybe
so
45
bovines technically
seconds, he
don't,
recalled.
but they do.
But afterwards,
Depends on the
he
species.
had the sighting that would change his life
I don't
and
remember.
forever make him rethink
They
entering
do,
the woods.
but they don't.
He
It's
told me
weird.
this, and I quote,
That's weird. I don't know.
I was about 3.5 miles away from my
I think I remember
vehicle
goats having.
when all of these things began to happen around me. I listened to my gut, because at this point, it was screaming I should turn back. Something was wrong. I wasn't sure what, but I know enough to always trust your gut. I began making my way back, having to climb down over this small ridge, when out of the corner of my eye, I saw it, the Goatman. The thing that I'd only ever heard about in stories, a legend that I always thought was fake. But here I was, seeing it in person, and I'll tell you this, laying eyes physically on this sort of being is the closest you'll ever get to physically seeing a demon in real life. Easily 9
They
to
have
10
cloven
feet tall.
feet.
This thing was towering, and to
So
me,
you could argue that hoof is a
resembled
big
more
toe.
of a minotaur.
Wasn't there like
than
I
it
thought
did
there
a
was like one
Goatman,
thing that goats have like.
but still
I
had
don't
that
know why I think
very
of that. I know
ugly
they have
demonic
hooves.
look
I
to
know
it.
they have hooves.
It did
like
not
regular
have any
bovines,
clothes on.
but I don't know why I
It
thought
did
they had
not
feet.
have an axe in its hand.
They have cloven hooves.
It
not
seemed to
like
be
horses.
making its
yeah,
way
their feet are cloven.
across a
it's
large
different.
ridge
It's like not
and
horse
wasn't
feet 'cause
paying
it's like
any
a
mind
split.
to me.
They split in the
Had it
feet.
looked over in my
Like
direction,
there's two.
it could have
That's
easily
what I'm
seen
thinking
me.
of, right?
It's not like in that moment I had any brush or anything to hide behind.
Like it's
I
not
was sticking
fully-
out like a sore thumb. Had this thing just
Yeah,
turned its head.
I think I know what I'm talking about.
I'm glad it didn't. It continued off into the woods and was
no,
gone.
I think they have like a split.
It
There's
was
a
going
split
at a
in the
pretty good
toe,
pace.
I
It
think.
appeared to be
I mean,
on a
split the
mission
hoof to make
get
it
to
toes.
somewhere.
See, goat feet.
Maybe it came through a portal.
This is something I'm fucking googling.
Maybe
Thanks,
that's
Jet.
why I experienced
Goat
the
feet.
static
Yeah, there's like a
electricity
split in the
feeling.
hoof.
Maybe
There's like- they
that's
got
why I
little
smelt
toes,
the
kinda.
thunderstorm
Here, I'll show
on a
it.
clear, bright, sunny
I'm gonna post
day.
it in general.
After having follow-up
got,
phone
like,
calls
two.
with Paul, he
Yeah, they
informed
got
me
toes.
that he has since gone back to that same section
The
of
cloven
woods
feet are like
that
the-
he supposedly
This is what
saw the
people mean when they say
Goatman.
cloven. I mean, they're still
He hasn't
bovinins,
seen it
but
since,
they're different. 'cause
and
they
it's
evolve
not going to
differently.
keep him from doing what he loves most, being
Yeah,
out in
thanks, Cindy.
nature.
It's this too. There's a
But he is
diagram
very
showing
much
it.
more aware now of
See,
his
this is what it
surroundings
is.
and aware of the existence of legends
Yeah, that's what it
or
is. They
things that
technically
he
have like two
thought were
toes,
legend.
but it's a hoof.
One of the
Technically. I mean,
things we
cloven
talked
hoof,
about
that's
when we were on the
biggest way to put
phone,
it.
and I'll never forget this, is when he told me, you know, if Goatmen exist, what other
Weird dressing
supposed
from how
legend
he said
that we were told growing
head
up
to the
doesn't
toe,
exist
not head to the
now
hoof.
exists?
Yeah,
This
that's
opens
true.
the door for all realms of possibilities, including Bigfoot to Chupacabra, and even ghosts. The last eyewitness story that I'd like to share with you in this email comes from a young 19-year-old gentleman named Clay, who was out on an evening hike just this last year in 2019, when he saw, on a small segment of beach in South Carolina, what he described to me as a half-man, half-goat figure dragging, now here's the disturbing part, dragging a human body behind it. Where it was going, he wasn't sure, but he immediately didn't feel right, and called 911. Police were able to go down there and inspect, but they never found anything. No footprints, which should have been impossible to not find, considering this thing was walking in sand and dragging a human body behind with it. It's eyewitness stories like these that truly disturb me when you hear just how frightened the individual was upon seeing this thing off in the distance
Goatman.
I have tons more stories that I can share with you, and I hope you are open to hearing them. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the stories that I've sent you thus far, and if I'm lucky,
This is why you
maybe
don't
you'll
do
decide to
drugs.
use them. You have full permission to. Let's keep an open line of communication, as I'm sure, if you do use this, your viewers will be hungry
Oh,
for
so
all
he was
sorts
sent
of other
this.
cryptid sightings.
Okay.
I've got
Someone
plenty,
sent this.
as I
to
keep
the
close
the guy
tabs
reading
with
it,
many individuals with their own horrifying
which is
personal
what lurks
sightings.
beneath, excuse
Thank
me.
you,
Yes,
and
what
take
lurks
care.
above and lurks. Excuse me. Yes, what lurks above
If
and what
you
lurks below.
or somebody you know has a story
Montana
or encounter
wasn't sure
they would
about
like to
this.
share with me or have me read on this
like
channel,
a dog.
please.
It's like a coyote or something. Okay, moving on. Here's the true story about the haunted Goatman Bridge in Texas again. This is from Sports Goes. Dallas Fort Worth.
For over 100 years, the old Alton Bridge served as a main road for Denton County. But even though it's since been bypassed by new highways, something may be still traveling over it. Ghostly stories surround this structure and may have led to its bizarre nickname, the Goatman's Bridge. The legend goes back to 1938. A black man named Oscar Washburn raised goats and was nicknamed the Goatman. He was too successful for the local farmers, though.
A group of men came out here in
Who
the
are in
dead
the
of night.
KKK.
They parked their car, turned off the
Not
lights,
gonna mention that
put
fact?
on their
Is
hoods,
that too much of
and
a
crossed the bridge
shock
with
to
a
you,
rope.
Texas?
And they ambushed Oscar Washburn, dragged him to the bridge. With a noose around his neck, they threw him over the side of the bridge. They looked over to see their handiwork, only to see that the noose dangled above the water, empty. All right, now this is going to be enough to make a ghost get angry and come back, if it's true. But it's not.
Yeah, the famous legend doesn't match up with any historical records in the area.
Oh,
But
oh,
here's the
wait, what?
catch.
But that
Okay.
doesn't mean this place isn't haunted.
Ghostly
none of that
encounters
happened.
of all
Okay,
kinds
so
still
none of that
surround
got
this
reported
area.
to the police
And one
then?
man's
Okay.
story still stands out to Shelley Tucker.
He said he'd come out here one night with a friend. Now, just as this young man stepped on the bridge, he heard a deep voice growl at him, say, "Get off the bridge."
Get off
and
the
he
bridge,
turned and
boy.
ran back several paces, turned around and looked, and he saw his friend fly up in the air and land flat on his back. And then, as if unseen hands had grabbed his friend's legs, his friend started getting dragged backwards. And then his friend
Backwards,
flipped
as you
over
know, do
and
happen.
went through these railings into the water below.
Fake
The
hate crime.
takeaway from this story is if you hear a voice say, "Get off the bridge," do just that.
So, surrounded in myth and mystery, the Goatman's Bridge holds over a century's worth of secrets that we may never truly uncover.
Yeah, I don't think anyone. Okay, Old Alton Bridge. So now we know that one. That tale, the Goatman. Same tale again, but retold, and added details or details subtracted, as you do. So now we got the Goatman. This is from the Legend of History, this channel. Do I want to play that one first though? Yeah, I'll do this one.
In the forests of Maryland,
So now we got
there
Maryland.
exists a creature
Change now.
so
Location's
terrifying
changed.
and so violent that its name is still used even today to scare young children and adults alike.
Now we're in
While he is
Maryland.
commonly
from
laughed at when
fucking
mentioned,
Texas.
There are those who lock their car doors, particularly when driving down Fletchertown Road at
And
night,
we've seen this channel before, it's the
a
Legends
road
of
where
History.
the Goatman is said to patrol for his victims. The first mentions of the Goatman may have been whispered between the locals as early as
In
the
Maryland?
1960s, but his first mention in the media came about in the 1970s in the local Prince George County newspaper. The article
I don't know if I'd
describes
call
some old
Maryland
folklore
Yankees.
that was
I
known
know
in
a
the
lot of
area
people
by
do. I
generations
mean, I would
past,
consider them, but
including
they
the
had
Goatman
slaves.
himself,
So,
but
guess
also
not.
another creature known
Oh,
as the
Burb
Boa
lives here,
that
yeah.
also lurked in the woods.
I guess he does. He says
Amongst
Bethesda,
these two
Maryland, but
creatures
he's always in like
were said
Ohio.
to be ghosts and
so I don't know.
spirits that served to haunt the woods and cause distress upon those foolish enough to be found there at night. 2 weeks later, the same newspaper printed
Don't
an
mind me, I'm
article
gonna be
about a
moving
family
something.
with the name Edwards who'd lost their dog named Ginger. The article goes on to explain that after a thorough search by the family, the body of their dog was found lying on the side of Fletchertown Road, its head savagely torn off. It would become one of the first modern incidents that would become associated with the Goatman, particularly when the Edwards' 16-year-old daughter and her friends claimed to have seen a large creature near their home the same night that their dog had gone missing. Pretty soon, there were a
If it's
string
above
of
the
reports of an
Mason-Dixon line, it's the
obscure-looking
north.
animal that walked on two legs,
I don't
all
even
of which
remember
were
where the
seen
Mason-Dixon
along
line is.
Fletchertown Road.
Not like I really care that
The
much.
Goatmen would soon find a much larger audience to scare, however.
Like a true
when the
northerner,
Washington
I
Post
don't
posted
care.
an article about Ray Hayden, John Hayden, and Willie Gein, the three men responsible for finding Ginger the dog. It would see the Goatman become a more
they're above the-
recognized
okay,
creature
so where
amongst the
is-
likes of
where is
Bigfoot
that?
and a Loch Ness
Again,
monster.
that's stuff that Southern
In
is
fact,
known. That's
some
shows
have
why
even
I don't
cited
know.
the Goatman as being the Maryland Bigfoot.
The
in the
Maryland.
sense that
Why
the
are you
creature
saying
is
it
both
that way,
staggering
Britt?
to comprehend, and yet totally elusive. But what is the Goatman? Or who is the Goatman? Where did it come from? And what does it want? Well, accounts describe the Goatman as being a creature that stands over 6 feet tall. A creature that is literally half man and half goat. He's said to be pilose and sometimes foul-smelling, and in some accounts has a high-pitched squeal.
Sometimes
He
he
has
has a high
curled
pitched
black
squeal.
horns, unkempt and unruly hair, and large claw-like hands. In other accounts, he is never seen without his trusty axe, cradled in his arms. There are many variations of the Goatman of Maryland, which are passed down from generation to generation. More often or not,
Someone
the
had
Goatman
me.
is the Maryland boogeyman,
Were you looking at the
a mere
Mason-Dixon line?
fictitious
Okay.
creature
That's
that
where the
children use to
Mason-Dixon line
tease
is?
each other with,
Okay.
or that parents use to scare their children
Oh, wait,
into
Maryland's not
behaving
above
better.
the Mason-Dixon line.
But for others,
It's below
the
it.
Goatman has a more concrete existence, and even has his own origin story.
Because that's Delaware
There are
right
those
there.
that
That's
believe the
actually
Goatman was once a lonely old herder who kept
technically
himself
above
to
the
himself
Mason-Dixon.
in the woods.
Okay. So
However,
Kentucky,
one night,
Missouri,
a few
Ohio's
teenagers
above
stumbled
the
upon his
Mason-Dixon,
herd
so that's the
and
north.
killed them.
Even though that's the
When the old
Midwest.
herder found the bodies of his
Ah.
beloved goats, he went insane with rage.
West Virginia is the south.
The sight of the
technically
goat's
still, even
blood
though they
angered him
seceded,
so
that's
much
why they
so
exist as a
that it
state.
actually affected his physiology, turning him into the Goatman.
But yeah, I'd
Others
say
believe that the
Delaware is
herder
more
turned
where
to
you
satanic
consider
rituals
that the
to help
north.
him overcome his
Mason-Dixon's
grief,
below it still.
and that in an
Technically,
ironic
it's right
twist,
on it, really.
the devil
but,
turned him into
you
a
know.
hybrid goat himself, a creature hell-bent on revenge against teenagers in particular. The telling of the tale fits in with the targets that the Goatman is said to prey on, with the exception of dogs and other household pets. Teenagers across Maryland from the 1970s
dispute?
onwards
Okay.
reported several sightings
Thanks,
of the
bro.
Goatman, some of which were said to have been chased by the creature, which yells and squeals and makes hideous goat noises as he gallops after them. Others believe that the Goatman specifically targets lovers, and that Fletchertown Road serves
I
as
like
the
this
perfect
pose the
nucleus for this
Goatman's in. He
endeavor,
looks like he's about to
given
be in
that the
some
road has a
Saturday morning
reputation
cartoon.
as being
Or,
a lover's
getting
lane.
posed into an action figure by Todd McFarlane.
Teens and adults both have used the surrounding areas to park their cars, and given the seclusion of the woods, it makes for the perfect space to get to know one another a little better, without the prying eyes of anyone, except the Goatman, that is. In some reports, the Goatman appears to be wielding a large axe, and pounces upon unsuspecting victims who are getting busy in the back seat. Reports claim that the Goatman smashes cars open with an inhuman strength, breaks windows, hacks away at doors, and even slashes tires to prevent his victims' escape. Other accounts claim that the Goatman is far more strategic and lures his prey out of their cars by making deliberate sounds, encouraging the lovers to exit their vehicles and investigate. In one of the more bizarre tales about the Goatman, he's said to be the result of a terrible experiment gone wrong at the Beltsville Research Agricultural Center.
Oh no, the
Funnily
agricultural
enough,
center
the
made a
theories
fucking
about this grew to be so popular
man
amongst the locals,
goat,
and the
'cause
tale
that
began
makes
to
sense.
obtain so much merit, that the research center actually came out to officially deny the allegations.
We didn't make no fucking goat
Needless
man.
to say, the tale of the Goatman had become a teen obsession, and would see many teens who were out of their minds go Goatman hunting in the woods. However, it appears that despite these hunting parties, the Goatman remains a dark mystery that sits in the woods of Maryland and Prince George County. Many believe that the popularity of the Goatman was influenced by the car culture of the 60s and 70s,
In
where cars
Maryland?
gave young people
I
the
guess?
freedom
I don't
to
know.
explore and discover the world around them. It was a
The
time
car
before
culture
the
of the
internet,
50s and
and I imagine
60s.
the only way to experience anything was to get out there and actually experience it.
Yeah, that's how you get killed,
After all,
kids.
you couldn't just type in
That's
the
how
Goatman in
fucking
Google if you
Zodiac
wanted to see
and
the
Ted
creature.
Bundy and all
And
those
you
people
certainly
that
couldn't
ended
have
up
a
killing
handsome
you.
British man explain it
That's
to you
your
over
fault.
YouTube. Please subscribe. No, you'd actually have to go out there and
So
find
please
the Goatman.
subscribe.
And then, well, then it might have been
Wow,
too late.
Threw
as
that
he
in
buried
really
his axe
hard,
into your
my
head.
guy.
But in all seriousness, I can certainly see where the legends of the Goatman became solidified in the community's everyday life at the time, because it promoted adventure and the exploration of the unknown, both geographically and perhaps supernaturally too. Another idea that is said to have given birth to the Goatman was that students in Prince George County were said to have been learning about Greek mythology, and
so
possibly the
satyrs,
half-man,
yeah.
half-goat god Pan.
Okay, Pan
It's
too.
entirely
Okay,
possible
I was
that
gonna
the
say
Goatman
satyrs,
was created
but
by a
Pan
group
works
of
as
school
well.
kids who drew inspiration from their textbooks, and like the memes of today, it eventually
They made
gained traction
memes,
and
chat.
became a worldwide phenomenon.
They made memes, and the
But let
Goatman
me know
came
your
into
thoughts in
existence.
the comments below about what you
Remember,
think
you
about the
could
Goatman
shit
of
post in
Maryland.
real life at one point.
Is this
The
just
Greeks
a
did it,
teenager's
so did the
fantasy
Romans. I
spawned
had
out
bread
of
today.
boredom of the previous generation? Or
You
is
should
there
do that,
something
chat. Go shit
hauntingly
post in real life.
about a half-man, half-goat creature
Be the
that
memes
lurks
you
in the
wanna be.
woods, waiting for his victims?
Stop doing it online all
Maybe
the
you're
time.
from
Just go
Maryland
out.
and have some insights about
Be
the
a
Goatman.
meme.
Or maybe you've encountered him yourself.
Until you become
Let
a
me know in
dead
the
meme.
comments below, and don't forget to hit the like button, as this really helps the channel get noticed. Also, if you haven't subscribed, do hit
that
that
was
button,
short.
and don't forget to tick the bell icon as well to receive notifications. Until the next time, guys.
Thanks, Legends of History. Okay, we're moving on from that. Next we got the Goatman Creepypasta, read by Otis Jiri. This is Scary Horror Stories audiobook. Excuse me, I thought animated was what that said, but it says audiobook. This is from Chilling Tales from Dark Night, but Otis Jiri now has his own YouTube channel. So this was back in like 2020. I thought he started making his own YouTube channel like in fucking not 2020. I thought it was actually like way before then, but who cares? Let's listen.
Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. Want to make sure
Hey,
you
Porky.
never miss a Chilling Tales for Dark Nights video again? Be sure to subscribe and hit
You
that
animal.
bell to turn on notifications.
I was 16 and had family down in Alabama.
Oh, now we're going
They're
to
farmers,
Alabama.
and they own a
God.
huge amount of land
Can
in
we pick a
Huntsville.
place?
My uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put out in the woods for hunting and camping. While I was down south, my cousins suggested we go out camping for a few days. We get to the camp, and it's obvious something is wrong. The air has a strange electric ozone-like smell, like right before a storm. We don't think much of it, and unpack and go down to a little nearby creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white guy and a white teenager come out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arm and says hello. He asks what we're doing this far back in the woods. I tell him about my uncle, who he knows, and say we're camping out.
Yeah, it sounds
He
like a
tells
great
us
idea.
we need to be real careful out
Because
here
there's a fucking
and
goat
stick
man.
together because there's a big animal in the woods. His son, who is my age, asks if he can hang out with us. His dad says, okay. We end up playing football and screwing around. There's me, the white kid Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and 4
But were
of
you
their
really
friends.
white, Tanner? Were you
5
really?
girls and 6 boys. We're all about 15 to 17.
Just
We
saying,
ended
a
up
lot
just
of people use that
wasting
term
the day
so,
away and then went back to the camp
so
to set up
loosely
for
they
a
should watch
campfire,
it.
even though we had trailers with kitchenettes. Tanner said he wants to run home and ask his dad if he can come camping with us. His family's property sits up against my uncle's. My cousin, Rooster, says he's going to go with him since it's getting pretty dark. One of the girls says she's going to tag along. At this point, it's about 7 p.m., and it's getting dark, pretty dark. They take flashlights and head off on the trail toward Tanner's property, and the rest of us just chill, make some s'mores, drink, and hit on the girls. About 30 or 40 minutes later, there's the smell of ozone again. It was so strong, you could smell it over the scent of the fire we had going. It's really nasty iron-like smell, like you get after you've had a nosebleed. It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was that strong, metallic, back-of-your-throat smell. We immediately think that it's some kind of electrical malfunction, or someone left a hot plate on or something. We search the trailers and nothing's on, but we can all smell it. All of a sudden, we hear people booking down the road towards us. Rooster, Tanner, and the girl all come running into the clearing out of breath. They don't even break stride. They all just run into the trailer next to
They
where
just
the fire
keep
is.
running, and I was
We
running.
all rush out of there and get into the trailers. They end up calming down a bit, but even Rooster is bawling his eyes out. Meanwhile, the fire is getting lower and lower, so my other cousins tell us to forget it, and they're about to go inside and start
Porky
up the
fucks
generator.
goats. Fucks
Tanner
pigs,
says,
not
"Hell
goats. He
no."
has standards.
He locks the front door. Ain't nobody else going outside. He's been crying too, and his eyes are bloodshot and puffy, and his pants are incredibly dirty. He goes on to tell us that they went up to his house, and that his father said it was okay for him to go out camping.
It was okay.
He just needed to make sure they were careful on their way back, and maybe they should take one of the hunting rifles just in case.
You know, just in case. Just
Evidently,
take that gun.
Tanner had seen
I
something
mean, you never
in
know
their
when
yard
a Doom
a
style,
few days
I mean,
before,
Evil Dead
when
style
one of their
event might
pigs
happen
had
when
turned
you're in
up
the
ripped
woods.
in half and eaten. They assumed it was just some big cats or coyotes, even though they don't usually
In
mess
Alabama?
around with live animals. He'd
Why
gone
the fuck do you have a
upstairs.
big cat in Alabama? What
packed
do you
his
have?
stuff
I
and
mean, a
told his dad
bobcat I could see,
they'd
but
be
I don't
okay
see
without
that
the
like
rifle because
killing
coyotes
whatever the fuck
avoid
it just
people.
said.
So they started to walk back towards where we were camping.
And
Rooster
cougars are
finally stopped
extremely
crying and
rare
shaking.
outside of Florida and the
The
East
girl had
Coast.
stopped too, but she was
Most
just
people say
staring
they're
out
fucking
the window in a
extinct.
stupor. He says they had gotten halfway into the woods toward the camp
At least on the East Coast.
when they
on the
started
West
to hear
Coast, not
strange
really.
sounds in the forest. It was almost pitch black by this
God,
time,
imagine if it was still
so they
colonial
weren't
times. We had
sure what
jaguars
it was.
and shit.
The girl said she heard something in the bushes right off the trail, and that they all aimed their flashlight beams over there. There was something standing back in the woods in a little hollow. Rooster said they'd shouted at whoever it was and told him he was a jerk and was scaring the hell out of him. He said that's when he
panthers in
realized that the
Alabama?
guy was facing away from them. So they kept walking, and they started to smell the nasty, coppery ozone smell, and they looked off into the forest on the opposite side and see a stranger standing in the forest backwards, but this
I
time
mean,
he's
maybe
slightly
the
closer
fucking
to the
Florida
path.
Panthers in Alabama. I don't know.
So now
Maybe.
they
It's
start
smaller,
power
though.
walking.
It's not exactly the
And
same type
Tanner
of panther.
keeps saying he should have taken the rifle. As they're telling the
Black Panthers?
story, the smell is still super
I don't know
strong,
all that.
even inside the trailer. They say, after they started walking faster, that a kind of low gibbering sound had started coming out from both sides of the woods.
I mean,
They
that shit
booked
also
it
gets into
back
urban
to the
legend
trailer.
territory where
The
you
girl
know,
said
the whole
she
thing of like,
flashed her
oh well, yeah, we
flashlight
released
out
a bunch
into
of
the woods to
panthers
the
to
side
deal
of the
with
trail
deer
and had
populations.
seen
I've heard that
something
before.
darting through the
Even where I
forest.
live, that's a thing.
and that the gibbering
Apparently,
got
they
louder
have
and
seen
louder.
them, so
By
maybe
the
it's
time
true.
they
I
could
don't
see
know.
the light from the campfire, something had come
Big
out of
cats,
the
they
woods
look like fucking
and was
panthers.
just
so
40
you never
yards
know.
behind them on the trail. So they ran flat
I have
out
no
as
idea.
hard as they
Could be.
could to the trailer. So
Who
we're
fucking
out of the
knows?
woods, and at this point, we're assuming it's some rednecks messing with us. All of a sudden, my other cousin, Junior, starts
Junior,
going
my
on
cousin.
about how he went to school with a Native American kid that was telling him about something called the Goatman. We promptly tell him to shut up because the last thing we need is some spooky story at this point. But he keeps on going on and on about how it's the Goatman and how we're in his woods and blah blah blah. Now at the time I'd never heard of the Goatman or any of that. But a couple of years ago, the year before I graduated from college, I had a member of the Menominee tribe for a roommate, and I ended up asking him about it. To sum it up, it's basically a man with the head of a goat, and he can shapeshift, and infiltrates groups of people to terrorize them. It's also supposed to be kind of like the Wendigo, and allegedly
Wendigo?
it's bad mojo to even talk to it, and even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I didn't know any of this back when I was 16.
Are we talking about go-go's?
So my cousin
You
is
little
going,
hornheads? I'm in.
the
We are
goat
talking
man
about
is going
ghosts.
to come in and get
You're
us.
talking about goatmen.
The girls are all
Men,
terrified,
not
and my
just
cousins
goat man,
and I
because
are all
apparently
trying to
there's more
figure
than
out
one, sweets.
if it's just some hillbillies or
Good to
if
see ya.
it's some sort of animal. All of a sudden, though, the smell just goes away. To this day, I haven't experienced anything like it. Usually, smells fade away or become faint,
Ghostbusters? Oh
but
my
this
God,
was
they're all
literally
llamas.
there 1 second and just gone the next. After an hour, at around 9 or 10 p.m., we've calmed down enough to go back outside and stoke the fire again. We figure it was just some guys trying to freak us out, so we don't go back home. Well, We think that if we do, they'll just chase us through the woods or something. Nothing else weird happens that night, and we stay another night. For the main part of the night, nothing happens. At about 1 in the morning, we're outside getting drunk and telling ghost stories.
As you do in
As someone
Alabama.
finishes a spooky story, I don't remember what it was about, the smell comes
Morgan
back.
Freeman really taking his
It
time.
is
This is
so
what
strong that one of the
it's
girls
that kind of like
actually
yarn
starts
telling
vomiting. I
voice
stand
where you
up and
talk
could
like
actually
on and
feel how
on constantly.
clammy the air was.
You got to
And I
build up
say
that
we should get
atmosphere, Dakota.
inside. Something wasn't right. We should have just
Aren't
left right
llamas
then
and
and
ghosts
there.
natural? I have no idea. They're both
Instead,
in the same
we
family,
all go back
technically.
inside and stand around. My cousin keeps going on about how it's the Goatman. My cousin Rooster tries to shut him up. All the while, I'm just feeling that something is wrong, and I can't figure out what it is. We end up sitting in there for a while, and the smell is just as strong. We're terrified, and all huddled together in the camper. We end up cooking brats for everyone because no one wants to go outside. It's one of those packs with 4 brats in it, and we have a total of 3 packs. I grill them up on the stove and give everybody one. I get mine, and after a while,
Llamas
one
are
of my
everyone's
cousins
natural
gets
enemy.
up and
Everyone
goes
is
over
an
the
annoyance
stove
to
get
them.
another.
Yeah.
He starts grumbling about how I got 2 and
Llamas
everybody
are
else got 1.
technically, again,
I look at
what
him
is it?
like he's
Alpacas,
stupid.
llamas,
I
and
tell
all
him
those other
everybody only
animals
got
are
one
technically
because
the
there were
same
only 12
family as
brats.
camels,
And
but
that
not
if he wants
really
more,
because they're
he
like
should just
just
open up a new
cousins.
pack
It's
and cook
weird
some
because
more.
evolution's weird because it's
That's
convergent
when the
evolution.
girl that had been with
Which
Rooster
they're like
and
distantly
Tanner
related, but
just
it's...
starts screaming.
Look, I'm not here to talk
"Oh,
about
Jesus!
bovinids.
Oh, Lord, get out!" She's crying and shivering, and it dawns on
Cousin
my cousin,
Rooster.
who's standing nearby, what was wrong. Me
But
and
it's
him
a
both
lot of
glance
genetic
around the room,
diversity
and
in a
then
lot
I
of
feel
families,
my
especially the
heart sink.
bovinid family.
I run
I
out
mean,
of the cabin,
that's
and
with
the girls
everything on this
run out
fucking
with us.
planet in general, but
The
you
trailer
know,
door bangs against the
even
side
us,
of the trailer
we have a
as
lot of
everybody
genetic
books it out of
diversity
there.
in subspecies and
One
all
of my
that shit,
cousin's
even though we
friends
pretend
asks
that's
us
not a
what's
thing.
wrong. I start counting us, and there are only 11. I kid you not. My cousin verified. Just moments ago, there had been 12 people in the trailer. Being that everybody didn't really know each other well, nobody had really noticed the whole time that there was an extra person.
There was an
Then
extra person
I
with them the
realized
entire
earlier that I
time.
had kind of noticed something was off. You know how sometimes when you're just messing around, having a good time,
Oh, whoops.
you don't sweat the small stuff?
Excuse me.
In those moments, you
Sorry,
don't
Chet.
always remain
I wanted
aware
to
of
mute
your
my
surroundings.
I wanted to
But at
mute
this
my
point, I'm
fucking
dead
headset, but I
sure
didn't do it in time.
that someone else had been in the trailer with us, and that
Sorry.
they had been there
Sorry
for
if
at
I
least a
fucked-
day,
you
eating
fucked your
right
ears.
alongside us. What makes it
That
worse
noise
is
of me
I
sneezing.
couldn't figure out which
I apologize.
person it was exactly, because no one ever interacted with the other person. Well, we're all sitting outside, and the whole time, the girl keeps praying
you
to
guys.
Jesus. Eventually, we get some big sticks and go back inside the trailer, and there's nobody there. We count again, and there's still 11 people. Everyone gets in the trailer, and we lock the door. We explain what happened, and the girl says that she realized it too, and when she was about to say something, the person sitting next to her grabbed her leg hard and leaned over and said something she couldn't understand. So we were pretty terrified, and we huddled together. We fell asleep. When I wake up, the sun is just coming up, and half the people are asleep, and the other half are packing up their stuff. We want to walk back home, but 4 people insist on staying until the sun is all the way up. Some of the people think we're just screwing around and still want to stay in the trailers. I just want to get the hell out of the woods.
Yeah, who doesn't want
The
to get
girl's
the hell
name
out of the
is
woods?
Kiara, the one that said someone had touched her. I asked her if she really thinks it was something bad and not an ordinary person, and she says she just wants to go home and doesn't want to stay out in the woods for another night. So we decide to split people up, and the 4 that want to go can do so, and I have to stay because I have the keys to the trailers, and it's my responsibility to lock up since it's my uncle's. I'm downright furious at this point because I feel like people aren't taking the situation seriously, and I definitely don't want to be out in the woods for another night. I spend the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people, 4 guys and 4 girls, that we need to get out of Dodge. Tanner leaves with the other group to fetch a rifle and says he'll be back later. After they took off, that left 7 of us at about 4 o'clock. As 5 p.m. rolled around, Tanner hadn't made it back, and we were getting extremely antsy. And the only reason I stopped begging them to go back was because he had claimed he was going to get a gun. It's about 5:30 or so when my cousin, that chose to stay, announced that Kiera is outside. We all look outside, and sure enough, she's standing by the fire pit with her back to the cabin.
Oh, that's not creepy.
I'm thinking to myself, if she was so scared, why the hell would she come back? And then I get this nasty feeling in my gut. That's also when I notice the coppery smell had returned, faintly. I can smell just a twinge of it. I tell everyone else about the smell, and they respond by laughing at me, and ask if I set this all up just to scare them. I give them a stern look. I'm not making this up, I hissed. Why would I play like that? So, one of the girls goes outside to get Kiera. She gets halfway to her and stops cold. Kiera starts heaving. I don't know how to describe it. Convulsing? Sort of like if someone with their back turned was laughing without actually making any sound. It was then I realized it was unusually quiet in the woods. Dead silent. This was late September, so usually you could hear large flocks of geese honking or small birds chirping or squirrels chattering. So I step out of the door and tell her to come back in the trailer right now. She backs up a little bit toward the trailer,
God.
And we lock the door and pull down all the shades except one.
So you can
We put
see
someone
outside
in a
at
chair
the
to keep
goat
an eye
people.
on her. She stands there for about 20 minutes or so. Then the guy turns to say that she's still there.
Because that's
A
not
second
weird.
later, there's a huge bang on the door. We all jump and scramble around the living room of the trailer. The pounding is extremely hard. So now my
Goatman want
cousin
in.
is holding one of the girls, and the other two are kind of giggling with nervous laughter. Meanwhile, me and the other two guys are losing it. Then we hear Tanner. He's screaming, "Let me in! Stop playing!"
Oh no.
We go over to the door and open it, and he stumbles in carrying a rifle. There's no one else outside.
Uh-oh.
As he tells it, his hike through the forest was uneventful, but upon approaching the campsite, he had seen a girl who he said wasn't Kiera standing there motionless.
That's not creepy.
When he had gotten to the edge of the clearing, she had turned toward him with a slack-jaw sort of look, and had stared him down, slowly tracking him as he circled the clearing on his way back to camp. He said it wasn't until he was roughly halfway to the trailer that he realized Kiera, or what looked like Kiera, was getting the gap closing between them.
That's not creepy.
She had started off by the fire, and without him even seeing her move, she'd been turning and inching closer. He said he sprinted the rest of the way to the trailer, thinking it would be open. And when he got to the door and it was locked, he turned and it was about half the distance to the door. He looks around the room and then gets super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers in my ear, "You know there are only 6 of you in here, right?"
Oh shit.
I felt my stomach sink. It, whatever it was, had been back inside the trailer while we were sorting out who was going where. It was playing with us. We look out the window and there's nobody out there.
That's not again,
So we count
not
everyone
creepy
again,
at all.
and then basically I go over and ask everyone how many people were here earlier. Everybody says 8. I ask, how many are here now? Everyone counts and then realizes there are only 7 people in the cabin. Tanner had brought back a couple boxes of ammo and his rifle. He told his dad there is some kind of animal in the forest because he didn't think his dad would believe him if he said it was the Goatman. He said that his cousin is supposed to be coming down in a few hours and that in the morning we can all go back to his place and that his cousin will drive us home. By then I'm really terrified. But at least I feel a bit better knowing that that's
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you, Greg.
when whatever it
Llamas
is
and
comes back.
alpacas are pretty much
we
they
can
are
shoot
related
it.
to camels, but it's
Then my cousin
again,
gets
it's
into a
weird.
huge argument with one of the girls who is accusing us of trying to
They
prank
are in
everyone.
the same family though. Llamas
My
and
cousin
alpacas are in
keeps
the same
telling her
family.
that I'm not that type of person. She asks, how do we know the girl by the fire wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Or if it really is the Goatman?
Oh,
How do we
God.
know that this is the real Tanner and that the Goatman didn't just kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun? Tanner and I make it clear that we could seriously be in danger because, at the very least, someone has been sneaking into our trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. Goatman or not, we
That's
weren't
not
safe in
creepy.
the trailer. One of the girls started to cry, saying she wants to leave right now. We're trying to tell her that that's a no-go because none of us are walking through the woods in the middle of the night. At this point, the sun is starting to go down, and it's getting a little cloudy out. We eat something and turn on the radio for a while, but we really can't pick up a decent station out there, so we turn it off at about the time Tanner's cousin Reese shows up. The sun is just barely over the horizon, and I see he has one of those heavy-duty lantern flashlights and another rifle. He walks up to the trailer, and we whisper to Tanner, asking if he's sure that's Reese, and he says yes. The guy looks behind him and all around the camp. Then he walks in and kind of glances at all of us and looks a little confused. Reese says, "Where's your other little buddy at?
Oh,
She
boy.
would meet me up at the trailer. Is she a little slow or something?" He also asked what we'd been cooking because it smelled like hot pans and raw meat all the way up the trail. We asked him, what's he talking about? He'd come down the same trail as Tanner had been using and said he came upon the member of our group standing in the middle of the trail, looking at him slack-jawed. He said he asked her a bunch of questions, but all she did was stare at him and then smiled. He said he kept walking, but she couldn't seem to keep up with him and kept falling behind. He asked if she was hurt, but she just kept staring
Like I
at
can
him.
use my Russian
He
Yandex
kept
for all
walking
my
and
Russian
had turned around a
dissertation
bend
needs.
in the trail,
Tanner
and
does
when he
sound
turned back
sus.
to check to see if she was keeping up,
Sounds like a sussy
the trail was
Baku.
empty. He assumed she took a
sounds
shortcut
amogus.
back to the trailer. We tell him the whole story of what's been going on, and he looks noticeably frightened. Since he was several years older than us, I expected him to say we were full of it. Instead, he listened and then sat down on the couch in the living room. He said when she kept lagging behind, it kind of freaked him out, so he tried to slow down and keep her in front of him. But no matter how slow he walked, she always tagged behind. He also said that from a distance he smelled a nasty smell that got stronger as he got closer to the camp. Eventually it got overwhelming, and he heard the girl,
Got
still
overwhelming
trailing him,
eventually.
whispering something. He turned to ask her what she said, and found that she had caught up with him. He went to reach out for her to grab her shoulder,
No,
but
remember what that
he
is
said he
now.
must have misjudged her distance from him because she was off to the side of where he put his hand. The whole time she kept on staring right at him.
because that's not creepy.
At this point we were convinced, unless it turned out that Tanner was playing a joke on us, that what we were experiencing was indeed real. And from the look on Tanner's face, it was pretty clear he was just about ready to pee himself too, so we pretty much ruled out it was being a prank.
It wasn't a prank,
Tanner and
brah.
Reese loaded up the rifles, and we ate some more. We all sit around until about 11 p.m. To this day, whenever I think about this, I really pray to God that despite the evidence to the contrary, it was in fact some huge prank that my cousins played on me, and that
But
they
it
simply
wasn't.
never told me the truth.
But it wasn't.
Just after 11,
It was
the
a
smell of
real,
iron becomes
honest
a
to God
really nasty,
goat man.
blood-like smell, like the scent of fried blood
That
and
nasty
singed
smell.
hair.
That scent.
Tanner and Reese
that
get
big
up
scent,
and grab their rifles.
that
At the
stank.
time, we hear a half-knocking, half-clawing sound coming from the door, and I kid you not, there's this voice, and it sounds like the noise cats and dogs make when their owners try to teach them how to mimic human speech.
Oh no, not those
Whoever
kind of noises.
or whatever it is at the door says in a halting, weirdly toned voice, "Let me in! Stop playing!" It made my blood run cold. One of the girls started crying again. I knew just one thing for certain. It was not a person talking. It didn't have the right cadence, and that's
I mean, goats
something
can
that I
mimic
never
human
realized
speech, too,
until
so
that
that's
moment.
fun.
All people have a certain cadence when they speak, no matter the language. Whatever was at the door, it didn't have that. I'm in full-on terror mode at this point. We keep yelling to whatever's outside, "Who are you? Stop messing around." And it just keeps saying, "Let me in." For 15 minutes straight. Then the smell fades a bit, and for the next hour or so, we hear someone creeping around in the woods. Every couple of minutes, it comes back to the door and says something, until finally the smell totally fades away at around 2 in the morning. Reese finally snaps, yelling, "Screw this!" He removes the safety from his gun, opens the door, and walks outside, rifle in hand. He fires a shot into the air and says something like, "In the name of Jesus Christ, go away!" He fires 2 more times. Then from the woods, near the river across from the trailer, it sounds like something is slowly gibbering and hooting. Then it starts screaming.
That's not a good sign.
It
When
sounds
it's gibbering
muted,
and
something
hooting.
like a woman and a cat screaming together from inside a bag. I've never heard anything
You're not
like
blowing
that.
enough raspberries, are you,
Before I had
neutered,
time to
Gene?
think, I heard a rustling in the bushes in the direction of the screaming. Reese fires over into the tree line, then starts backing into the trailer.
Fucking making
We lock the
goat
door
noises.
and can hear this thing keep on screaming.
Imagine like someone
Reese
paying
says
money. There are
something
people
had
that
come
do that,
out of the
that
brush,
just make noises like that
really
for
low
money.
to the ground, and then it began crawling
Those
toward
people,
the trailer.
I don't
shot
know
at
what
it.
to think of them.
That pretty much was how the rest of
Hoot.
the night went.
Whew.
It
Bet.
continued screaming for the next 2 hours, and we could hear something moving out in the tree line. It didn't reapproach the trailer for a while, not until everyone had fallen asleep. Tanner had been sitting in the chair watching the door with his rifle in his hand. Nobody else heard or saw this.
You mean like you?
He told me 2
There are
days
people
later
who
after
do
the
that
whole
for
thing
money.
was over.
I'm not doing it for money.
He
I'm
said
doing
he'd
it for
been
my
nodding
own
off after the
self.
screaming had stopped.
No, that's self-pity.
He was almost
I'm doing it
asleep
for my
when he
own
saw someone come out of the
self-demoralization.
bathroom, then lay down in the middle of the floor and go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us, and he nodded off. Then he said he realized something was off, and while pretending to sleep, he counted us. There were 9 people in the trailer. He didn't want to try and shoot the thing in the cabin and have it kill us all then and there, or have Reese wake up and start shooting everything in sight. So he stayed awake all night pretending to sleep.
It's called
He said
dementia,
sometimes it
Gene.
would stand up and move in a bizarre jittery manner, or heave like it was laughing. Then it would just lay back down. From my perspective, nothing else happened.
Just take Viagra.
We woke up and I noticed Tanner was a nervous wreck and making a conscious effort to avoid looking at anyone.
Corky only likes pigs. That's true. So
But we ate some breakfast,
That's
packed up,
true.
and started walking to his house. He stayed last in the cabin and said he'd lock up and bring me my uncle's keys.
But he
He
didn't.
said to just start walking and he'd catch up. We got a little bit up the path, then he came rushing up and we jogged back to his house. A short while later, Reese took us home as promised. There was a window in the bathroom. When Tanner had gone back to lock up, he said that we had been too stupid to lock
Yeah,
the
that's
window,
right, Porky. Post
and
the
it didn't have a
pig
screen
emoji.
on
You
it.
should post a frog
window was
behind it
up
to
when we
really
went in
show and
there.
demonstrate what you do.
I'm guessing that our uninvited guest had been taking advantage of the open window all along. It had waited for us to fall asleep or slip
Go
up
berries.
and then made its move. Tanner told me it walked with us all the way back to his house. Then it fell behind, taking its place at the back of the group, looked them dead in the eyes, and walked into the woods.
Chilling tales for dark nights.
Alright, there's that story done. Alright, let's move on to our next thing. Goatmen, Maryland, Cryptid Legends of Dogman Narratives. So this is like done in 3D, so enjoy that. That was way too- Oh, look at the Goatman. Dogman narratives, excuse me. Beltsville, Maryland.
According to legend, the Goatman is a half-goat, half-man creature.
You're just a bit horny over the topic,
Legend has
okay?
it
We don't
the
kink shame
Goatman
here.
attacks cars
Except
with
me,
an
I kink
axe
shame. I
and
kink shame.
roams
Kink
the
shaming
back
is my
roads
kink.
of Beltsville, Maryland. A
Well,
variation
mine
of the
is
legend
just, you
tells
know,
of the
I
Goatman
love loading
as an
screens
old
so
hermit
much.
that lives in the woods near
Maryland.
Fletchertown Road. Many of the Goatman sightings occur in Louisiana,
Loading screens
Maryland,
really just
and
get
Texas.
me off. I just need like
The
old
Goatman
games where it's
legends
nothing but
began
that
a long
black
time
loading
ago
screen with
and were
nothing.
further
You think the game's
popularized
frozen,
in
but it's not.
1971, when the death of a dog was blamed on the Goatman by a local resident. But the stories always seemed to float around, kept alive by bored teenagers, repeating the same stories
Well,
over
I'm
and
glad they're
over
bored
again,
teenagers.
and suggesting
That is
that the
so
creature
shitty
attacks
looking.
couples frequently near Fletchertown
I shouldn't
Road.
say that because a person really tried their effort on that, but it don't look good. And it's probably from the channel, Dogman Narratives. They probably did this. But that looks like something out of fucking,
The night before Halloween, three friends
not
enter a
even
corn
Gmod,
maze
like, worse.
late around midnight.
I mean, you probably made it in Blender.
The maze was
but
obviously
it
built
don't
for
look good.
Halloween,
I'm sorry,
but it was
we're
connected
watching
to a
it anyways.
cornfield on someone's private property. They found the corn maze more challenging than anticipated. After about 10 to 15 minutes, they reached the far end of the maze, where the private cornfield starts. Graham suggests that they go into the actual cornfield. They were close to the road. They could hear cars drive by occasionally. They could see a house just past the corn. A faint light in one of the windows turns on. They made sure to keep quiet. One of them thinks they hear something. After about
So
20
we just
seconds
had
of
the
standing still,
YouTube
trying
loading
not to
screen
even
for
make
10
breathing
hours
sounds.
straight.
They don't hear anything. They think that it's nothing.
Oh, fuck.
They walk a little further, and they hear footsteps in one of the other
The
corners.
corn look like the people don't look good, but the background itself looks good.
This time,
I
they
don't know how
all
to
hear the
explain
sound
that.
and think that it's one of the farmers. They decide to head back to the Halloween-designed corn maze. As they are walking, they can hear something behind them.
Just a fucking 10-minute loading screen. No, sorry, 10 hours of loading screen.
Graham tells them to pick up the pace. He drops his flashlight. He tells the others to continue. Go. He stops for only 4 seconds to see if he can hear the footsteps following. It sounds like somebody's running. He runs back to catch up with the others. When all three are together, they stay still,
Corn,
trying
not
not
like
to make
this.
noise.
Is this Resident Evil 0.5?
They hear something walking towards them. And look down to see hooves on the other side of the corn. They stay still, hoping that this thing will pass. This goat creature sniffs the air.
It sniffs
and then
the
slowly
air.
walks
Sniffs.
They
Menacingly.
can't see or hear this goat creature, and decide to quickly get out of the maze and back to their car. In their rush, they run into some corn, causing more noise and attracting the attention of this goat man, who runs after them.
It does sound like a fucking chicken. Or a turkey or something. Well, not turkey. That sounded like a pig.
They reach the parking lot and quickly get into their car. To their right, they can see that goat man standing at the entrance.
Just standing there, menacingly. God, the zoom in.
They quickly speed out of there. Although the idea of a goat man
A
sounds
feral pig
far-fetched,
cow turkey.
others insist that they saw something real, and goats do tend to have a mean streak. Photos of the creature are scarce, The most famous photo was taken in 1969. Back then it was called the Lake Worth Monster. But it would soon take the name of Goatman as the word spread. Other parts of the United States that have had Goatman sightings are mainly in the east.
What was that
One of
bulk?
the most famous encounters is the Poplick Monster, named after
Poplick Monster.
the Poplick Creek, for which the creature is said to live underneath the railroad bridge. Bridges and cornfields are hot spots
How
for
you doing,
Goatmen.
Mr. Self-Destruct? Oh wow, he has more. His Poplick Monster too. That's designed in that 3D. So you know, there's that. That's Dogman narratives. We'll move on now. Next up, we got the Legend of the Outer Banks Goatman, and I gotta put it back. So let's do that. Here we go. Seaside Vacation presents Haunted Outer Banks. I believe this is North Carolina.
Okay, we are in Nags Head Woods, and this is Goatman territory.
Gene doesn't like people
Goatman
taking his
is
picture.
a unique Outer Banks legend. He is fairly recent. Most of them have been established for several decades and generations. Goatman is fairly new. In fact, if you ask locals born before the 1970s or had kids before the 1970s anything about Goatman, they're not going to be able to offer you much. But you ask somebody born after the mid to late 1970s, anybody who went to school out here in the 80s,
dedicating an entire show to
they've
Jim
got some
Brewer.
Goatman stories.
You can't be from the Outer Banks without knowing who
You can't
the
be
Goatman
there.
is.
You can't know.
Before my family moved to Manio on Roanoke Island, we lived on the outskirts of the woods, the southern end. Back in those days, kids were sent out to go play, and you wouldn't come home until the streetlights came on. So many of my hours, my childhood, were spent in the woods, tramping around, looking for Goatman.
The story of Goatman, it varies from person to person, but it always kind of figures on one essential figure. There's a
The
man
Goatman.
who lives out in Nags Head Woods alone, has a lot of goats. He's very protective about his goats. He's very recluse. Doesn't like a lot of visitors. So these teenagers go out into Nags Head Woods one night, presumably drinking, as teenagers do, and to go and taunt Goatman and his goats. You know, teenagers, they're just awful people. So they go to Goatman's house. He's not there, but his goats are, and they commence to torment his goats.
So there's another Goatman,
kicking
another
them
guy
around,
raising
whatnot.
goats. So this legend totally
One
didn't
particular
spread around from
individual
Texas
gets
to
a
other
bit out of
places or
hand
anything, no.
and kills Goatman's favorite goat. This upsets Goatman, who is deep in the woods, hears his goat screaming, comes back to his house in time to find these kids motoring away down the dirt path in Nags Head Woods. His favorite goat lies bloody and dead on the ground. And on that night, Goatman declares vengeance on anyone who trespasses in Nags Head Woods, particularly teenagers. He walks around the woods in a yellow raincoat. Sometimes it has the blood of the goat still on it.
Oh
Carries
boy.
an axe.
So now it's like
If
a
he sees
teenager that
anybody,
killed the goat.
he just straight up kills them with the axe.
Goatman
Doesn't ask
brand
any
milk.
questions, hunts them down, chops them up. He's even been known to throw the axe at people to try to get them to stop. Some folks say that he will actually
I
follow
do
you
an
out
Eerie
of
Hours on Porky.
Nags Head
Porky
Woods.
has been mentioned when the
A bit
Oregon
iffy.
one
Most of the
came
time
up.
these guys tend to
He
stay
is
towards
the
their territory.
what is that thing
But
called
Goatman
again?
is no
It's
joke
a creepy
amongst
critter.
the locals.
Oh.
It should be noted, however, that there have
From
been
the fucking
no
like
documented
woodcutter
sightings
stories. I
of
forget what it was
Goatman in
called.
Nags Head
That
Woods.
was definitely Porky. That's
Usually
him.
when there's a pet slaughtered or
Damn, I don't remember
killed
what the fucking thing was
in
called.
the area, Goatman is blamed for it, but there's been no human casualties.
We'd start off at the little yellow cottage that was rumored to be his. It was this cool old hunting cabin that over time became very dilapidated and still had that eeriness about it. But I'd always start there. And peering in the windows, you would never find anyone. So that's when the real adventure began.
That's the Goatman of Nags Head Woods. Interesting thing about Goatman is he's not alone. Not only is he new to the area, but Goatman, or Goatmen, so to speak, have popped up all around the United States. They're known as cryptids at this point. These are animals that have being talked about, have been searched for, but there's no scientific proof that they exist. Goatman is, in some legends, he's a man in a raincoat with his hood up.
Sometimes in
like
these
the one for
legends, he's
Nag's Head
changed
was.
several times in the
In
legends we've
others,
heard.
he's the man with a goat's head. And indeed, some of the people I've interviewed,
Raincoat
Goatman,
killer,
who
and
have
in this
said
one he's a
that,
raincoat killer, but now he's also a goat man.
Now from there, it's either a goat's head due to some supernatural occurrence, or it's the head of his favorite goat that he wears on top of his own that he uses to get revenge.
Oh, I see.
Goatman,
So he wears the goat because it's the
like
victim.
I said, has popped up all over the United States. Many states have their version of Goatman. Some of them in a yellow raincoat, some of them with the goat's head. Probably the most famous ones are the ones in
that are
Maryland
Goatmen.
and Kentucky.
Started going through the woods, this self-induced terror as a child, you know, finding yourself in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by woods, heart pounding, you know, jumping at every tree branch that you'd hear crack. And I never really thought ahead, you know, I never thought, what will I actually do or say if I came across Goatman? I just really wanted to find him, you know. And although I never actually ran into him, I always felt like I was being watched.
By him, the goat man's just watching you as you sleep at night? Why does it look like that? That looked like it was a lizard. Okay. Thanks, Seaside Vacations, for putting that up. Next up, we've got real sightings of the Goatman from Darkness Prevails, so we got some stories to listen to. So let's take a listen
You
to
might
this.
still be brainwashed by society into thinking goats are cute or silly.
But they are.
But around here, we know better. We don't tolerate goat things around these parts.
That sounds racist.
Because we know what the Goatman is and what he's capable of.
Look at that thing.
All jokes
that
aside,
scary?
the Goatman is a fairly commonly sighted cryptid in the woods of America, often in the South or Midwest. He is known for his near-human intelligence and desire to torment or pull sinister pranks on people. So beware the woods, and don't go trusting no goats. Here are some allegedly real sightings of the Goatman. If you have your own story, share it with us at darknessprevails.org. I'm looking for scary stories from Discord and ghost stories from around the world. Thank you. Now, here we go. Paranormal Goatman. From Dolly B. Location, Missouri. Everything I'm about to tell you is 100% true. I'm not going to lie about what happened in that nightmare house. I'll tell you today one of my many experiences I've had living in that portal to the underworld.
That portal to the underworld.
For a bit of context, I live in a 2-story, 3-bedroom house. It is located in a small town in Missouri and was built sometime in the late 1800s.
Fake and gay, Porky,
The living room and dining room connect, and the dining room leads to the kitchen. From that kitchen you can see the large furnace that is located in the dining room, our primary heat source. My sister Cass and I are a pair of serious night owls. Both of us suffer from migraines and the sun and loud noises don't help. And as we're homeschooled, we're allowed to sleep during the day and work and live at night, for the most part. We were in the kitchen and it was around 3 a.m. We had just put a pizza in the oven when it hit me, my bladder demanding that I use the restroom. I headed off to do my business while my sister watched the food. As I headed back toward the kitchen, I found my sister on the floor. She had her face covered with her hands, and she was just huddled in a corner. Freaked out at the sight of this, I rushed over and asked her frantically what was going on. "Was it you? Don't lie to me, was it you?" She asked me repeatedly in a worried, almost tear-filled voice. I told her I didn't know what she was rambling about. I had been in the bathroom the whole time and had no idea what was happening. She began to calm down, and after she did, she told me that while she was waiting for me to come back, something kept peeking around the corner of the doorway, the one that led to the dining room.
Also, I should probably scroll this down.
As she said this, she began to panic again. I tried to calm her down, assuring her that it was probably just her imagination. And that's when we both heard it. The sound of something moving. I stood up, and so did my sister. But then, all the color in my face drained out of me. Because there, in the corner between the furnace and the wall, there were eyes. Something with deep eyes. It was peeking around the corner of the stove, long nails wrapped around the furnace. I would have thought it was some intruder, a thief maybe, except for the large black horns on top of its head. My sister began to tremble and sob, and I screamed, causing the dogs to come running. I called out my grandma's name, who was asleep in the living room, but there was no response, even when I screamed louder and louder. Finally, my body covered in goosebumps, I ran into the dining room and flicked the light on. When I did, that horned figure was gone.
The horned figure.
It was like it disappeared. My grandmother was still asleep in the living room. I grabbed my sister and ran upstairs towards my room. We could still hear it. That thing.
In your mom. That is the
It sounded like hooves were banging on the stairs coming right after us. We sat quietly locked in that room, watching underneath the door, waiting for it. That was when the hallway went black, completely dark. It went quiet too, before a loud bang came from just outside the door, and the door popped off the hinges, as if something slammed against it. We screamed as another bang hit the door, which was barely holding on, but had now knocked it to the floor. That's when Tucker, our Great Dane, ran up the stairs growling loudly. He ran in, sitting down in front of us, then sniffed and licked my crying sister. We sat in my room with Tucker until sunrise, the doorway blocked by a dresser now. We bolted out once the sun came up. I have no clue what the thing was that was watching us, but I do know that my dogs will often stare
As all
at
horned
that
figures
corner
do,
for
for
hours,
real, exactly.
never letting my family go near it. A lot of sinister experiences have happened in that house, which I've occupied for 4 years now. My family is currently looking for move, but in the time being, let's hope things stay quiet. Red Ash Goatman, from Skater 91. Location, Tennessee. On Valentine's Day of 2013, I was skateboarding with a friend of mine on the back streets. He had never been up this old road that led to the mining town nearby. It had been ran down for years. It was really just a bunch of abandoned buildings, a railroad, and an old creepy church. There were no streetlights either, so at night the place was pitch black. We started walking at around 3 in the afternoon, skating on occasion along the way. This place is supposedly haunted. People say that folks practice witchcraft here, or in the surrounding woods, and there have been rumors of people going missing or perishing here since the 1940s.
Did he say he
We
graped
kept
her? It
walking
sounded
and
like it to me.
skating
He
until it was
graped her.
getting close to
Can't
dark.
believe it. Graped her in the
We
mouth.
must have been 5 or 6 miles up into Red Ash. As we turned to go back home, as it was getting late, we felt something was watching us. Sure, that's a cliche thing to feel or talk about, but when both you and another person get this feeling out of nowhere at the same time, that definitely means something's up. We began to walk home faster and faster, until we saw it. There was no escalation. We didn't hear any sounds before that. We did not have any warnings or any signs. We simply saw it. It stood in the middle of the road behind us, seemingly observing us. though all we felt when we looked at it was fear, nightmarish fear, the kind where you can't think straight because you're scared for your own life. This thing, this monster, it was like half man and half goat. Its head was more of a skull, but it was in the shape of a goat's head, with the body being more human. In all seriousness, it looked similar to the horned god, Baphomet. As we began to walk away from it, trying not to startle or anger it, it walked with us, following us for some time. All the while I could barely breathe. I don't remember being so scared. It didn't stop until we reached the edge of red ash, and even then it stood at the edge and stared at us until we could no longer see it. Whatever it really was, demon, Baphomet, or some goat mutant, it was over 7 feet tall and not something you want to encounter at night. Whatever you do, don't walk alone in Red Ash, Tennessee, especially not after dark. Did I just encounter the Goatman?
Did you?
From Ghost Hunting Girl. Location: unknown.
Oh, good.
It was January 2019.
It was the
I can't remember the exact day of this incident. I'm not even sure if I really saw something or just imagined it. Everyone who knows me can tell you how fascinated I am with the unknown. I've been having experiences with the paranormal for years, and sometimes I even host ghost hunts and paranormal investigations with my friends.
Who asked?
As for this experience, it was a cold, dark evening, about 6:30 p.m.
Nobody
I had just returned home from work. It had been a long, stressful day, and I was trying my best to relax. I was sitting out on the driveway on an old porch swing, having a few cigarettes. I had just lit up my second one when, out of nowhere, I heard this disturbing sound that shook me to the core. The best way I can describe it is the sound of some kind of goat or sheep mixed with metal. It was so deep and loud that I nearly dropped the cigarette into my lap. I tried to pinpoint the sound and realized it must have come from my neighbor's field to the west. The scary part is, he doesn't own any livestock like that. None, in fact. I sat frozen in place for a moment before going back to my own business. I picked up my phone and called my fiancée. Our routine is to talk on the phone every night and smoke after I got home from work. As we were talking, I heard the sound reverberate again. It was louder than before. Closer, I think. It made me jump a little, and I knew right then that I wasn't losing what was left of my mind. That sound was real. This was confirmed to me when my fiancée suddenly asked through the phone, "What was that?" Clearly, it had been loud enough for him to hear over the phone. I described to him what I'd been hearing, and it confused him almost as much as it did me. What really creeped me out, though, is that the next few times I heard it, it would seem
so
further
startled.
away, then close, then far away
Everyone
again.
who knows me, why would you say that?
What on earth was going on?
No one knows you. You're
I
not even
ignored all the red
real.
flags that were going up in my head. Then I went back to our conversation. We ended up discussing work and various duties we had to perform. For the record, my fiancé is a lifeguard, and he talks about it all the time. He began telling me about something he'd been working on, and went on for about 5 minutes. Of course, I began to zone out, not paying much attention to what he said. My eyes drifted toward the fence line separating our property from the neighbors. There, through the trees, I saw something. It was a dark shadow or figure, appearing to be long and slender. Its eyes, if that's what I was seeing, were nearly 7 feet off the ground. They stared intently in my direction, not blinking at all. The creature moved slowly back and forth, as if attempting to get a better view of something. It was then that I knew what it was doing.
It was
trying to find a way
menacingly
through the fence,
T-posing at me.
trying to find a way into our property. I uttered a few swear words and scooted
Just
back
a
on the
few,
swing
not a
as
lot,
far as
just
I
a few
could.
swear words.
I did not want to be on the same side of the fence as that creature.
The creatura.
My fiancée quieted down finally to ask me what was wrong, but I didn't answer. I was too busy watching this creature that had seemingly appeared out of thin air. Something else came out of my mouth, though. I can't remember what, but I do remember blinking spastically. When I stopped, that thing was gone. My fiancé was scared now, and he demanded to know what was wrong with me.
He shooketh.
I quickly described everything that had just happened. He cussed to himself and tried to persuade me to retreat inside the house. There wasn't a hint of doubt in his voice. I insisted that I wasn't frightened, and I wanted to smoke another cigarette, but he continued to plead with me that I needed to get inside now. I could hear his voice trembling, so I listened. I shoved the lighter back in my pocket, and I did as he asked. From there, I pretended that it was a perfectly normal night. I didn't bother telling my mom
God, this
about
is awful. It's all
or
your
any
fault,
of my
fiancé.
close friends, for that matter. I didn't know who would believe me, or who would call me crazy. I've heard stories about the Goatmen
everyone's gonna call you
many
crazy.
times, so that was my first guess as to what I'd just seen. Luckily for me, I haven't
hated
seen
that.
it since, but I've still
They're
heard
all
the
blaming
sounds
you.
at night. I'm not
Goat with
scared of
phone.
it, surprisingly. Sometimes I wish I
now
could
you're
see
not
the figure
scared,
again.
huh?
Closer
you wanna
up
fuck
even,
the Goatman?
because that morbid side of me needs to see more. Where did it come from?
Where did
What
it
does
go?
want?
Where'd you come from?
Did
Cotton
I
Eye
really
Goat.
see the Goatman?
That's where my mind went. That's where my mind went, Chad.
Creature
deal with that,
in
'cause
the
I
woods.
sure as shit can't.
From Cordia, Atlantis. Before I begin, this is quite true. I've heard the yells with my own ears at night, inside and outside. I still don't know what was yelling in those woods that night, but here's the story. I've lived in the woods my whole life, and needless to say, I've heard things that go bump in the night.
No, really?
Sure, you've got your usual
have
animals,
ears?
crickets, and the wind, but there's a sound that remains a mystery to me. There would be this yelling at night. I don't think it was a fox yell, which was most common in that area, but it was more akin to a goat. I know, weird. Better yet, sometimes it sounds like it's circling our house. One night I went to take the dogs out to use the restroom. We were in the woods and the dogs were well trained, so they didn't need a leash. After those 10 minutes, I went to call the dogs back inside.
That's right. You call
Mind
them
you,
doggos.
it was wintertime. Cold enough for a jacket, but not cold enough for snow.
Okay.
So usually the dogs would be running around, and I'd have to go and wait for them in the cold. As I was waiting for the dogs, I hear this goat-like yell starting in the woods next to the house, and it just kept going. I remember thinking, what is that? While looking around, trying to find where it was coming from, but I could not see a thing. So I called the dogs, who eventually came back, and I was bringing them in when that yelling started to circle the house again. Scared, I brought the dogs in quickly and closed the doors. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4 to make sure all the dogs were back inside. I nearly couldn't count them all because they ran off so fast to hide. They were scared. I even found one of them hiding and cowering under my bed. I stayed up inside that night, listening to something walking around outside, making that goat scream. I have no idea what it is, and I'm terrified that one of these nights soon, I'm going to be outside when it starts getting close to the house, and I'm going to end up seeing it up close.
Oh no, heaven forbid you see something with your eyeballs.
Something followed me through the woods. From Mini 1396. Location, Virginia.
West Virginia. Oh wait, no, sorry.
This event took place when I was about 13. That was 11 years ago now. I was a girl who moved around a lot with family because my dad was in the military.
Okay.
As for this story, we were living in Virginia, near the historic Triangle area. We lived on an old military base that had a lot of wooded land with a few roads throughout for people to bike on and for the standard military stuff. My family, some friends, and I would bike on these roads quite often. It was very relaxing, and because we traveled in a group, we weren't worried about coyotes or bears or anything like that.
Please be outside.
We felt
yeah.
quite safe. However, we kids were told very sternly to never go back on those roads without a parent and to never ever split from the group. My best friend at the time and I chalked it up to them being afraid that we would hurt ourselves or be mistaken for prey by hunters.
Oh, well, you
The
were.
base often allowed hunters in to help take care of the crazy deer population. Or maybe they just wanted to keep us away in case the military was doing their thing back there.
Their thing.
As you can imagine, we were quite wrong about their warning. We were on one of our bike rides, about 3 families altogether in the group. My best friend and I started lagging behind, and eventually we were at the back of the group.
And whose fault
As
is
we
that?
rounded a corner, I kid you not, a snake fell from the tree branches above onto my handlebars. I naturally freaked out and
It's a
wrecked,
snake.
refusing to get back on my bike. I know, it was the temper tantrum of the century.
Yeah.
My friend was laughing and just rode off without me.
Yeah, fuck you.
I stood there staring at my bike. Then I looked back down the road, then back to my bike.
Okay, but Goatman.
I did not want to get back on
Thanks,
that thing,
Master Bob.
and basically said screw it. I'll walk back. We weren't too far in, after all,
Okay, but
and I knew the
Goatman,
roads
though.
quite well, even the gravel ones, because my dad would drive me around back there in his Jeep. So I was quite confident as I walked back down the road and turned down a dirt road. As I'm walking down this road, I start hearing rustling behind me. I shrug it off, thinking it was just a rabbit, since we had seen quite a few on the ride already. The rustling grew closer, and then was past me and to the front of me. Then it stopped. I stopped there and decided to bark at it to scare it off. Branches suddenly snapped in response. I screamed and took off running. Naturally, I ran in the direction of home, which was right past this thing. And as I'm running, I hear the weirdest sounding growl. It wasn't like a dog's. It was deep, and it had the undertones of several different growls underneath it. Each of them had multiple pitches all rolled into one, and it was quite disturbing.
No, really?
I ran like my life depended on it.
It doesn't.
And this thing kept pace with me. I heard branches being torn asunder and leaves rustling in its wake. But still, I was deep enough in the woods that I couldn't make out what it was. But did I really want to see it?
I don't know, do you?
The road curved sharply to the left, and my feet slid out from under me as I tried to take the turn quickly. I ended up sliding off the road into a little ditch before the woods began. I'd say it was a 3-foot grassy area off the road. As I scrambled to my feet in a panic, I'm pretty sure I was crying by then, and the thing's growl turned into a human-like laugh. I bolted. I ran and ran, but didn't feel like I was getting any closer to home. After the curve, I should have been on the main road, but I didn't even see it. Off to the left before the main road, there would be a little ruin of sorts, and my frantic mind thought if I could maybe get to the ruin, I would be safe. The thing was still crashing through the woods on my right. I saw my life flash before my eyes. But then I saw the ruins, and I could have laughed in relief had the thing not been chuckling again. I could hear it starting to move in, and I jumped, basically dove, into the foundation of the ruin.
Wow.
It had 4 walls with an open doorway that I ran into. I don't know why I thought I'd be safe there, but I think it to this day. I would have never made it home without it. The thing was still trying to toy with me, and when I turned to look back at the doorway, I saw fur. Not the brown-red fur of coyotes. It was black and very wiry looking.
Like a goat.
But I didn't see a face, just fur and mangled backward legs. The joints didn't look right. They were like a normal dog's, but backwards. I would have thought it was going the other direction, but it was clearly going to the right, even if the legs looked like they were moving to the left. It growled again, sounding more frustrated than the earlier growls. It seemed upset that I had hidden myself. I expected it to charge right through the fragile doorway at any moment, but it simply circled the ruin before going back off to the woods. I didn't leave the ruin until a base police officer found me. She looked terrified. My dad recently told me that she had seen hoof prints that had paw pad prints mixed with it, like some sort of weird goat-wolf hybrid.
Goat-wolf.
The officer also admitted that she heard strange laughter echoing where she found me. That's why she practically yanked me out of my hiding spot and threw me into her truck. We didn't speak until we reached my house, where my frustrated parents were waiting to hug me and yell at me. I didn't tell them what chased me, but when my dad told me years later what the officer saw, I finally told him myself. I really don't know what it was. The deformed legs make me think skinwalker.
But it was
Every
a goat
time we
man.
went riding after that, I would hear growling and catch glimpses of black fur in the woods. Again, I don't know what it was, but I know it was either hunting me or just toying with me. But there's one thing that escapes me.
What's that?
Why did it refuse to enter the ruins?
Maybe it didn't like them. Maybe it just thought they looked kind of tacky and left.
The Thing in Kentucky.
Oh, here we go. I'm moving to Kentucky now.
From Silverwolf 69. Location, Kentucky.
No, I wouldn't ever say fucking Kentucky's words, but no.
I've been to almost a fifth of the states in the US for long stretches of time, and I've always gotten something out of it.
Yeah.
An interesting picture, a weird occasion, odd personal stories, pretty much everything. When I went to Kentucky for a week-long vacation, I expected to maybe have a souvenir. Instead, I got something much more than I bargained for. One night, I was walking in a field somewhere in the eastern part of the state. I had just listened to a podcast about poison hornets, which are supposedly hornets that were exposed to chemicals in Ohio.
Oh God,
Anyway,
in Ohio, of
before I left,
course.
They were about to bring up a story from Kentucky.
Poisonous hornets
I turned
because of
off the
Ohio.
radio
Beautiful.
before they did.
Thank God.
I decided
Thanks,
to just
Heartland.
walk around
Thanks
aimlessly,
for doing that.
passing the time.
Always appreciate
It was
you
then that I
doing
saw
this
something
shit.
tall
Making
and
serial
thin
killers,
walking
astronauts,
into a
and
tree line.
god-awful
I
abominations
followed,
against all
and soon
humankind.
saw that there was nothing there. Not a man, not a woman, not a child. Not a ghost or skinwalker like you might be expecting. I decided to do something that may have been illegal, and I placed a trail camera
did you
that I
now?
brought with me, just for these strange occasions. I wound it around a sturdy tree and left for the night, then hunkered down in my rented car and took a nap, but ended up sleeping through the night. The next morning, I trudged out to the spot and saw something strange.
What'd you say?
The camera was lying on the ground, and the branches of the tree were lower than I remembered. I had a sense of unease about this, so I grabbed my camera and booked it out of the woods.
Yeah, keep booking.
While eating at a diner later that day,
Don't
I heard
stop.
a man telling the
Don't ever
waitress
stop, just keep
about
running.
what he called a living tree. I insist the tree can move on its own, he said with
Well,
clear
trees do move
conviction.
on their own, though.
Another person said that it was the man mantis of Kentucky.
The man
a creature
mantis?
that was a mantis as big as a man and very muscular.
Man mantis of
which allowed
Kentucky.
it to bend
Okay, we'll look into
objects
that
until
for
they
some
look
other time of
entirely
Eerie
different.
Hours, I'm sure.
I did some research on what he said. I found that he was one of only a few that reported that particular thing. Soon I talked to another guy who lived in Kentucky his whole life, and he told me what he believed it was. The Goatman. From what he thought of it, He thought that a brilliant scientist who loved to experiment with goats had created it. That one day he went insane and horribly messed up something and turned himself into a half-goat, half-human hybrid.
As you do, you know.
Now, to this day, he'll cause people to go to dangerous sites, especially the railroad trestle, where someone was recently ended by an oncoming train while walking on it, for reasons unknown. I wasn't convinced, but decided to act like I was. Superstitious or not, I did everything I could to avoid it. The day I left, I decided to just take a leaf back as a souvenir. As I tore off a leaf from that very same tree, I heard a snarl behind me. I was startled, panicked even. Without looking, I placed the leaf on the ground, walked away slowly, and counted to 30 in my head. When I got to 30, I whipped out my phone, snapped a photo behind me, and broke into a full sprint. When I got back to my car, I dove inside and locked the door. I slammed the gas pedal and made a K-turn to leave. As I did, I saw the thing staring at me from the tree line. It was covered in dirty white fur on the top half, but the bottom was hard to describe.
It's hard
Its
to
expression
describe.
was angry, and I could see horns. I thought it looked more like a satyr
I fully
than a
believe
goat
someone
man.
with the screen name
Either way, I
Silverwolf
was
69.
I was so spooked by this event
Why wouldn't you,
that I
right?
haven't gone back to Kentucky, and I might never go back.
Never ever again will I go to
Be
Kentucky.
careful out there. The Goatman is on the prowl. He's bigger than you. He's more psychotic than you can imagine, and he won't hesitate to make you writhe in agony just to laugh at
Well,
you.
thanks, Darkness Prevails.
The Goatman exists only to see you suffer. So if you
clearly.
hear some goat things going down in your neck of the woods, I suggest you get out of Dodge while you still have legs. Good night. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have a scary story of your own, be sure to share it with us at darknessprevails.org. If you want to support the show, you can donate on Patreon at Patreon.
Alright, we're moving on past that. Now we have this, the Carpetbagger, the Pope Lick Monster, aka the Kentucky Goatman. So we're gonna watch him. Strog sent me his channel before about the that one place that's related to Omega Mart that's not Omega Mart. So let's watch him.
Hey you all. There is an epidemic
of Goatmen
in America today.
Goatmen.
And that is
Goatmen.
half human, half animal monsters living under bridges. In San Antonio, Texas, you have the terrifying Donkey Lady that lives at Donkey Lady Bridge. In Virginia, you have Bunny Man
Lady?
Bridge, home of the psychotic,
Donkey Lady?
bunny-suited, axe-wielding
Bunny Man?
maniac known as Bunny Man. But tonight, I'm here to commune with the most
Goatman.
terrifying American bridge monster of all. I'm here at Pope Lick Trestle, the stomping grounds, the Pope Lick Monster,
Sideburns of the gods.
also known as the Kentucky Goatman. Now, what is it about these half human,
stop
half
giving Gene
animals
more ideas.
that attracts them to bridges? Maybe it's just easier to pounce down upon people or pounce down upon cars. But it does make things awfully convenient for travelers as myself who want to be able to find monsters when they have kind of a designated spot. Sasquatch is all over the place, but these guys, they like to stick to one locale. So who is the Pope Lick Monster? Who is the Kentucky Goatman? So who or what is the Pope Lick Monster? There's a couple different stories that try to explain his existence.
yes,
Some believe that it is the offspring of a human and a goat, which is just horrifyingly disgusting. They say that maybe he was a circus freak that traveled in a freak show, and then there was a train wreck up here on this railroad trestle that caused the Goatman to be freed, and he has anger against society for laughing at him in the freak show, and that is why he stays at this trestle attacking and killing those who would wander here. And as sinister as that sounds, the more accepted legend is even far, more sinister than that. The story goes that there was a local farmer here who was having trouble with his farming. He needed help. He was losing all of his money. His crops were dying, and he needed some special help with his farming.
Devil.
And so who do you turn to? You need help with
devil.
farming. U.S. government sure ain't gonna help. So he turned to the only other alternative.
Go back. Satan.
With his farming.
Gotta see those hand jobs.
The story goes that there was a local farmer here who was having trouble with his farming. He needed help. He was losing all of his money. His crops were dying, and he needed some special help
from the
with his farming. And so who do you turn to? You need help with farming. U.S. government sure ain't gonna help. So he turned to the only other alternative, Satan himself. The farmer made a bargain with the devil to imbue him with special farming powers, demonic farming powers, so he would not have to go through the struggles that a normal farmer would, that he would be able to grow the biggest and most amazing crops. So the devil asks for an animal sacrifice and tells the farmer to gather all his goats and slaughter them as a sacrifice to the dark lord Satan. So the farmer does this, gathers all his goats, slaughters them, but the devil don't play fair, and he puts a curse on the farmer and transforms him into a half-goat monster. Now, having great farming and having a really prize-winning corn and potatoes is good, but there's not a lot you can do. It's hard to go to the farmer's market when you're a half-goat monstrosity.
I mean, put it
So
back
the public monster doesn't play around. He's not something that you catch a glimpse of and then tell your buddies.
It seems easy to me that you could hide.
Down for some serious evil. They said that he actually possesses the ability of mind control and voice mimicry, and that he will use your own mind against you to convince you to go up on the railroad track, or use voice mimicry, impersonate a child, and cry for help on top of the railroad trestle.
Off the bridge by being stupid.
And whether or not there's truth to this story, the Poplic monster has killed people.
There were times that trains ran through there too,
have
and
made
they
the trek
died.
to the top of the trestle, looking for the Poplic monster or being lured by the Poplic monster and have been struck by trains. This is an active
it still is active.
track.
Never mind. Woo! That's dumb then. Don't be up there. Why would you be that stupid?
It almost gives you a weird perspective on the nature of urban legends, the nature
you can't go anywhere.
of quote-unquote monsters. Because, is he real? He's killed people. Does that make him real? These are very existential questions. But unlike most monsters, the Poplic monster, the Kentucky Goatman, has confirmed deaths linked to him. There's other stories linked to the Poplic monster. Don't necessarily include him manipulating or using mind tricks. Some state that the Poplic monster will simply leap down from the trestle onto passing cars, and some accounts even state that he would sometimes wield a bloody axe.
That's a train. That's a train in the distance. Have them goat sounds just come up near your end of your video. Get a drone footage shot. That's how you... I mean, with that, now you can really find the Goatman without worrying about fucking getting up there in the trestle, right? Yeah, do that. See, that's how you do it now. That's how you get the bastard. Just get a fucking drone and wait till nighttime and go see if you can find him. Except he doesn't exist because he's not real.
All things considered, I think I might just move along. This whole legend is rather terrifying. What was that?
Oh god. He's green!
Ah! Let me out! Oh, that's pretty scary!
Well, he's dead. Murdered. Gene's just stripping everyone's pussy, yeah. As I do. Let's move on to our next video. I mean, interesting to just watch and hear about stuff, but, you know, not real.
Everywhere
the
has
Goatman
its
versus
cryptids,
Goatmen.
those beings of urban legend and folklore that instill terror into children and, depending on the severity of the stories, adults too.
Actually, that sounds like
but
voyeurism.
they are not all made equal. Some are rooted in centuries of cultural anxieties and taboos. Others are relics of technological or scientific revolutions, and others are just kind of there. Talking about the Wendigo last time got a little real.
Is this fucking...
So this week, I want to take a look at a cryptid that isn't
76?
quite as culturally important or sensitive. This weirdo. Goatman. Hailing from the dark woods of Texas, rumors of his existence began in the 1970s when dogs began mysteriously dying near train tracks, with wounds consistent with those of a train collision. It must be some kind of Goatman. Other than impersonating a train in a train's natural habitat, the Goatman has also been, according to Wikipedia, known to attack cars with an axe. He also has a bridge, but that's allegedly a different Goatman, which is based on a farmer that got murked. And he's also potentially a demon. The guy's kind of all over the place, and he's kind of trash. Sorry to any goaters out there, but come on. Goatman?
He's kind of trash.
Goatman? Goatman.
I hang out with Mothman, he's pretty cool, a little too into property damage for my tastes. Cryptid month. The channel is called Painticus.
In June of 2018, Steam was thrown into a wild, confusing frenzy when a true horror was unleashed upon it. The Goatman by MC Games. Much like others in the cryptid hunting genre, this game follows a similar gameplay pattern to games like Bigfoot, Rake, and Folklore Hunter, where you have to kill a big man using stuff, and I honestly can't be fucked describing this format again, just watch the other videos. But unlike those other games, I have decided to not approach it alone. Many of those have had co-op functionality that I have simply ignored, but not today. Goatman is simply too intimidating. So I rallied some reliable allies that have proven themselves to me before. Ciri, Azrael, and Sempra, who you may remember from the Phasmophobia video. And together, we took on the Goatman. This was our experience. Oh, Ciri, while I was waiting for the game for you guys to join, I figured out that the C4 also acts as a camera on the computer over here.
What the fuck?
Weird. Dude, you can't even dive properly.
I can't do anything right. Ah, there we go.
I can't do anything right.
Goat.
Or just go.
Just goat, lowercase.
Yes, room is full.
Oh no.
This is disastrous.
It's okay.
We immediately found out that this game is only 3-player co-op, so we had to kick someone out. So I rallied some reliable allies that have proven themselves to me before. Ciri and Azrael, who you may remember from the Phasmophobia video. And together,
well, I don't, because I've never watched your content till this.
Was our experience.
Oh my god, I look like a goat hunter. Look at me.
Those mines.
Where we go?
Oh, we all picked the same class as well. Oh, we're just 3 boys.
3 dudes hang out in the woods. Nothing really happening there.
Oh, we've got 3 mattresses in here.
Wait, what?
In the camper van, we got 3 mattresses for 3 Goatmen.
Oh my gosh.
3 Goatmen.
Choice.
Oh my.
Now this is game design.
All right, do we go to the old spot paint and go to the bridge?
I think so. Real quick, I gotta turn the computer on. It takes a little second. Hey, do you want to fly the drone? Okay, fine.
Who knows? He's right.
You can sprint backwards.
Oh, you're right.
Oh my god, I got bit by a fucking snake.
This is like the prequel to like Red Dead Redemption.
So the game makes a big deal about actually finding Goatman, but he always spawns on this bridge, so I don't think we need to...
What the hell was that?
Whoops.
How do I do stuff?
If you picked up stuff, you just select it and then press Q to put it down.
I got bad news.
Oh.
Oh,
there he is.
That's Goatman! That is a Goatman!
Oh my god, he's making it rain. I will lure him into our trap. Oh my god, it's a bear!
A bear!
Oh my god, neither of them fell for the traps.
Oh my god, there's 2 bears.
Oh my god.
There's 2 bears.
He's not taking any damage.
There's bears.
Where is he?
Let's go back to
I need
the
to
bears.
Rain.
Oh, that's
I will
Goatman.
lure him into our trap. Oh my god, it's a bear!
A bear!
A bear? Oh no, there's 2 bears.
Oh my god, neither of them fell for the traps.
Oh my god, there's 2 bears.
There's 2 bears.
He's not taking any damage.
Where is he?
Oh, I need to heal. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Bring him
he's
back
attacking me.
across. Bring him back across.
Wait. Oh, he's going for someone else.
Pick up everything again. Yeah, just pick up everything.
Oh.
We'll move shop, I guess.
Wait, can we, like, stand on our own bear traps?
Yes, I think so.
Oh yeah, we can.
Oh, he's here.
He's here?
Where?
Yeah. I just heard him. He went rawr.
Is that bear dead, or is he just standing there?
Yeah, he's dead. Bear's dead.
Alright, cool.
Oh, I see him. Straight ahead. West.
Huh?
Yes, the game is
Yeah,
lagging on their
my
end.
foliage isn't loading. He's walking towards us.
He's walking towards us, huh?
I'll fire my flare where he is. That way.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, I see him. Your flare
There's
actually
a goat.
worked.
Look at him. He's moving in 5 frames.
He's moving at 2 frames a second.
Our technology is better.
Oh shit, he's after me.
We're not afraid of you, Goatman.
Oh, I stepped in my own trap.
I put down on mine. Oh!
You pissed him off.
Boys, we're doing it.
Boys, we're doing it, boys.
Oh!
Oh shit. He just stepped in his own mine.
Oh no!
How many
died.
times have we stepped on those traps and not they haven't got off a single time?
Wow. Also,
God damn it,
look how good that
Goatman.
is.
Don't worry.
Where are you, Az?
On top of the mountain next to you.
Okay.
Can I take fall damage?
Think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh wait, this is actually a cave? Oh my god. Oh, there's a snake!
You son of a bitch!
No, just unload on a snake.
It's turning daytime.
With a fucking hunting rifle.
Oh!
Good idea.
Because there are so many snakes in this cave.
It's Snake Cave.
We came here for goats, not snakes.
I hear him. Oh, that's a bear. Hello! What did I do? What did I do?
That is frozen on their end.
I'm out of ammo. I'm shooting.
You're all alone.
The game's real good.
You're dead. I got.
Oh, there's a snake and a bear.
Snake bear.
I don't see the snake.
He's inside the altar. He's
Oh,
literally
yeah,
staring at you.
Oh my god, this
His head is poking out of the rock.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
You smoked him out.
I got no ammo. I am a goat connoisseur.
Is he coming
That's
for
a
you?
deer? A fucking buck's attacking him?
He's
What do
charging
you want
you.
from me? I just ran backwards. You can. Ah! Him.
Yeah, they do that.
Stop!
Oh, it's the next rocks formation. Get in the cave.
What did I do to you?
They do that. They're
Go back to the
territorial.
RV. Get some ammo.
Oh, there's a village.
There it is.
You can get help.
Help me.
Oh, there's a man.
Sounds like a cow.
Wait, is that
does.
another? Wait, is that
An elk.
another like thing?
The cultist. Ah!
He's still attacking.
Bambi's revenge.
Oh, I can see the Goatman.
Already?
Yeah, he's running to his cave.
Shall we?
Wait, the cave. Let's go.
We'll
Let
go
us
right
go.
Wait, I want to see what he
Look like
does.
Goatman.
Tactical advantage.
Looking at a drone.
He's staring down the drone.
That was not a goat.
Oh, he's to our left. He's to our left. He's to our left. He's right here. He was literally right here.
He might be going to the farm. That's where the flare told me he went.
Goatman, where are you?
Big baby goat man. Oh, he's running.
Where?
Oh yeah.
I hit him.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
You did a lot of damage.
Oh, that's a Goatman.
That's a Goatman.
He's moving at like 10 frames now.
Oh my god. He's doubled in strength.
Yes.
Oh, that did a lot of damage to him. Okay, chase him.
Where you go, Goatman?
What the? Birds. Guys,
Birds.
fire and then reload your flare gun and watch the animation.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
It's good. It's a good
Set up some
animation.
traps,
Good
like,
quality.
right here.
You can't do it on the bridge.
Oh shit. Oh, he's not turning up this time. Oh. Oh my god,
That
he
is
is.
a Goatman. My game just tapped out for some reason.
Run.
Goatman! did he step in the trap?
Hope.
This is where we
Hello.
make camp for the night.
Oh, more traps. This is good.
More
Oh my
traps.
gosh,
This
that's
is
so
good.
loud.
There's so many snakes!
Snakes!
Snakes everywhere, as far as the eye can see.
Why did that happen?
Goatman.
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 Oh, creepy priest is here. Don't touch him.
Where?
Wait,
Where?
can we shoot
Right in
him?
front of you. Right in front of us. Right here.
Snipe him.
Oh, I see him.
Okay. I'll shoot
Oh, it's a
him.
bear!
It's a bear.
Oh my
Son
god, he
of a
came
bitch.
out of nowhere.
Wait, do you think that makes Goatman weaker if we get rid of those things?
Oh, we
Yes.
get rid of the, like,
Snake Cindy
ghoul
isn't in
man?
the game.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
I think we're onto something, boys. I found a mine.
Is he still there? The ghoul man?
No, he despawns after you ruin his vibes.
Oh,
You ruined
shit.
his
I mean, I would do the
vibes.
same.
Alright, I think we can
Oh,
go
shit, I'm
venture around
gonna
and
do
find
the
caves.
same.
Wait, I found a bird that's freaking out.
That bird don't like that. It's a crow.
Can you guys see this guy?
No.
Look at him.
There's a
Come
guy in
on,
front of me
boys.
just doing circles.
I don't see this.
Oh my god. This entire ecosystem is fucked. It's just snakes and bears.
That's fine.
He's
Nothing
here.
Oh,
weird-
I can
nothing
hear him.
bad will
He's
happen
here.
because of that.
I think he's coming from the north.
It's fine.
Show yourself, good man.
I put a bunch of mines right next to behind you, Pate. Be careful.
Nice. Oh, yes, you did.
I was not kidding.
Wow.
All right. Remember, you can't get too close. You gotta like edge it out and then run.
Myman, but at what cost?
Hello, sir. We meet again.
You do it as. You were so good at it.
You survived before.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Fucking
Okay,
no.
okay, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Deep
Let's go,
Fine.
breathing. See, we gotta have some humor with our.
Oh, the snake's
spooky-
still there.
Bear.
He's back!
Bear
the
man.
best
That
way.
bear has orange eyes. He's freaking me out.
Did.
Where'd you guys go? Oh, I see you. Where else is there a good?
I put a bear trap on top of the drone.
Wait, this could be crazy.
This could be crap.
Wait,
I'm
this
gonna
could
fly
this could
under
be
his feet.
genius.
Wait,
Put a
I'm just
bear
gonna see
trap on top of the drone.
I did it. Oh my god, what was that?
And put a drone on top
Put
of the
a mine
bear
in.
trap. Boom, magic.
No, don't waste our minds. Because what if it doesn't work?
Oh my god, I'm scared to pick them up now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, bear.
Oh, bear.
Oh, he's,
Ah.
Bear,
he's
let's
climbing the
see you do
cliff.
this. Oh my god.
Bear is approaching.
Bear is
We got a bear
approaching.
inbound. I need to go restock ammo though.
You. Actually, I take it back. I don't. But I'll join you.
Oh, I see him. I hear him. He's here.
Man's here.
But run.
Shoot him.
Hey, bring it back to me. I got to.
Oh my god, he did so much damage to me. Run over the bear trap
This
in
one
the
for you,
mine.
Az.
Yes.
Come on, step on the mine, you son of a bitch.
Is he chasing me? Oh my god, he's so fast.
He didn't step on the mine, be careful.
Okay, I need
None
to...
of the mines went off.
I need to heal.
Oh, he's taking a lot more damage from conventional fire, though.
Oh my god, guys!
Az, watch out! Watch out!
Not again.
What happened? You wanna go to it?
Yeah.
Alright, I don't know where that is. We have made it to Goatman's Bridge.
Oh my god, he's outside the camper van. He just scared me.
Oh.
He came up silently. He's running.
And I don't call that running. He looks like he's teleporting.
Oh, I really should. That's a good idea, actually.
I almost did an oopsie.
I almost did an oopsie. Don't do a oopsie.
Okay.
Oh, I see a ghoul.
You do?
Yeah,
Where?
there's a ghoul on the water bit. Hang on, let me get my bearings.
Be careful. Those ghouls are not to be messed with.
Ghouls are not.
Wait, can you trigger the ghoul from safety with the drone?
Oh, that's a good question.
Trigger your ghouls.
I cannot.
You still give him a little bonk on the forehead.
No. Can't remember.
Bonk.
Just edge it.
I'm edging!
Oh my god, he's just floating up. No, don't hit my drone.
Fuck?
Wait,
What the
what's
fuck?
he doing? Hit him with the drone.
What the hell?
Run, Az.
What
Big
the
rocks!
fuck?
He's throwing Dwayne's!
Oh my god, he's still going.
He's still throwing. He's still going.
Oh
Shoot
my
him.
god, this camera!
What the
Oh, there's a
fuck?
boar. There's a boar. I'll take care of the boar.
There's a pig. Porky, you're
I'm all
dying.
goated out for the Goatman. He's here.
He's here.
Goated out.
Goatman, today is your ending. I'm putting C4. Back down. Move away from it. Paint. It's not doing anything.
Panicus.
Oh my god, he's
I
so
got
low.
Shoot him.
Yes!
Yes!
The god is dead! What now?
What now?
I don't know.
He's got a lot
Now
of
we fight
runes
Goatman?
on him.
Life is a little bit emptier now.
Without the Goatman, my life's
What
a
if
little bit
you shouldn't
emptier.
have killed Goatman?
What? He was the
there
protector of
noises
these
going
lands.
on?
Oh,
Look at his dick.
we did not
Maybe
catch
we
him.
were the monsters all along.
Wait, please wait. It says
Oh my god. Wait, level 2?
level 2.
Bro.
Goatman has escaped the facility. We're just carrying Goatman.
What the fuck?
That's what the 3 mattresses were for.
There's Goatman!
Oh!
Oh my god!
It's Ram Man.
Oh my god. My favorite part was when he died, and then we just sort of stood there for 30 seconds.
See
Yeah.
how big his dick is?
And there we have it. The treacherous journey of 3 good men, plus the corpse of Sempra, on their way to annihilate Goatman, only to be stopped by a bigger evil. The Goatman
Bigger
isn't
evil.
even the strongest guy in his own video game. What a fucking nerd. Yeah, that's everything. Thanks for watching.
What a
I'll see you all
nerd.
next time for the penultimate episode of Cryptid Month.
Oh boy.
Yes, it's still Cryptid Month. Stop asking.
Yes, it's still Cryptid Month. Stop asking. As you do. As you always do. Answer the real questions. Alright, moving on. Now we've got the Desert Road and Lyle's Summit Goatman Cryptid. So this is like New Zealand? So let's watch this. I promise New Zealand, you're getting it now. Date's 1962. It never stopped. Oh god, this.
To the
generic-
ancient Greeks, Pan was the shepherder, half man, half goat, a harmless
All man
creature,
go.
one of nature, sent to beguile mankind.
What, the
In
satyr?
centuries to come, the once benevolent creature, Pan, would later be encapsulated into the ultimate personification of evil,
Yeah, the devil.
the devil.
Why the fuck?
To give any creature the attributes of a half man, half goat, is therefore to link them inherently with evil. Too true, it could be said, of the world's best known modern day
Can you
tale
talk any
of a
slower?
goat man.
I mean, he could if I put him on, like, lower speed.
He does fit the bill of an evildoer.
I could do that.
Lurking in the woods of Maryland, looking for his next victim, to devour the family dog.
Are you from New Zealand?
Terrorize amorous couples on remote roads. What of the stories of New Zealand goatmen?
Oh, let's talk about those New Zealand goatmen.
Unlike their Northern Hemisphere counterparts, the goatmen of New Zealand appear to be portents of a happening.
You gotta listen to shitty New Zealand accents again? Yes.
Or a road accident.
Yes, you do.
Warning humans to stay away from a spot, or tread or drive warily.
Not too warily, though.
Are they here to signal us to be wary,
sometimes.
or otherwise? New Zealand is home to two legends, both colloquially known as the Goatman.
Is it? Okay.
Both fit the same
I thought it'd be
broad
more about your
description.
giant birds that you had, but okay.
A large, hairy, smelly man with hooves instead of feet. Let's look at them both. Find out if they're here to warn us of impending danger, or remain an enmity best avoided.
Oh, there's something's gonna be avoided, alright.
Stories of a desert road goatman near the Wairau military camp began being circulated in the 70s. A strange, darkly clad hitchhiker that appears in remote places along desolate stretches seeking a ride.
Well, he is. This guy is breathing kind of hard. I'm a little concerned.
Nor does he tend to travel far. Those that oblige him are said to be blessed with good fortune. The small details
if I oblige
picking
the
him
goatman
up
in the swamp, he'll give me good
being
things.
the difference sometimes between the driver having an accident that evening or not. Those that leave him behind and drive
So
by.
this guy's obviously older by just having whatever deep
it's not so
breathing
good
thing
for
going
them.
on. Watch on 2.6 speed.
The goatman can also sometimes be seen by vehicles travelling the desert road, moving on all fours.
Uh-huh.
It is said he is a kaitiaki, the Maori term for a spiritual guide.
Okay, that's what the natives, the Maori, said about him? Okay. Maybe the Maori, because there's other
Stories of a goatman in the Port Town Cemetery began in the 60s.
They're technically related to the most Polynesians.
Two
I mean, most
descriptions
people
are
are in
offered.
fucking Australia.
A half-man, half-goat creature similar to that of the desert road.
Humans. All the subspecies, like I said.
The other, a large disheveled man
subspecies.
carrying the head of a goat on a stick. It has been said his presence is related to the Ripapa Island in the harbour. The Ripapa was once the site of a Maori pa, naval fort, prison and quarantine station. Some of New Zealand's worst indulgences. Perhaps the long-dead spectre of one of the cemetery's guests. Whatever the origins, both entities are certainly nocturnal.
Entities.
They don't want you and me going anywhere near the cemetery come darkness.
Okay.
Why? Because they're protecting someone or something? Their own grave, perhaps? Are these appearances in Littleton a precursor for natural disasters?
I don't know. You tell me.
Littleton was the site of some of the worst damage caused by the 2011 earthquake.
Okay. I remember that
Rumours
earthquake.
and stories abound on both sides of the scales. As with the Desert Road Goatman, those that have had encounters say he is more than an urban legend. If you can help add to either story, please
at
be
that
sure
art.
to put your addition in the comments. I hope to see you next time. If you enjoyed this, of a number of uniquely New Zealand ghost stories in the pipeline.
Gene sounds drunk at 2.5
So
speed.
be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.
Alrighty, so now we've got an old staple to the channel, Watching Critical. He's saying Goatman is real and he is angry. So let's watch this.
About the Texas Wolfman last week. Now we're fucking talking. Have we finally caught the Texas Wolfman? Next up, we gotta get Goatman. Mystery Wolfman-like creature spotted near Texas Zoo.
Oh boy.
God, I love cryptid hunters.
Spotted outside the Amarillo Zoo, and it's not an animal, it's not exactly a human. Take a look. Security cameras captured what appears to be a wolfman walking around the property.
Wait, no, isn't that just Skull Kid with Majora's mascot or something? What am I looking at? The Grinch?
It looks like
Chupacabra, that mythical
No,
predator
it's
that's
not
become an
Chupacabra.
urban legend. And others are calling this guy a UAO, as an unidentified Amarillo object. What do you?
They're not taking it seriously at all. We could very well have just found the missing link right there, and they're not even taking it serious.
Well, no, it's
probably a furry.
CNN.
Though. I live near Goatman. People take pics on his bridge every month. Yeah, someone died. Goatman actually got someone killed.
Yet again,
There's
when
a
will the
Goatman
violence
hunt that
stop?
actually ended in a death
When
because he's
will
on
he
like
be
a
stopped?
bridge,
Sam
or like
Hyde
a
Goatman.
railway or something. I don't quite remember now. But while doing the Goatman hunt, they like fell off the bridge. Didn't people die playing Pokemon Go when it was popular? Yeah, but that's not Goatman. Goatman had nothing to do with that.
Or did he?
Don't let the Wikipedia picture fool you. He's not usually this joyful and jubilant. He's an evil motherfucker, I'll tell you what.
He is evil. Evil!
Phil from Hercules. Nah, I guess it's more like Tumnus from Narnia.
Tumnus from Narnia.
Can't you just bait it out with hay? It's a half man, half goat. He's not an idiot. This is a creature that's existed for thousands of years. You think he's gonna fall to the old bait and switch with hay? You would never survive trying to hunt Goatman. Aren't they called satyrs?
Satyrs.
Get your weeb talk away from me. I don't know what that is. I only know him as Goatman.
Get your weeb talk away from me.
That's the beauty of Goatman. There are no sightings. Unlike Sasquatch and Slenderman and even the Chupacabra, there is nothing even close to a Goatman sighting anywhere. I've always wanted to see some like Goatman hunts, but they don't even bother faking Goatman.
You know, visiting the bridge is always kind of daring a visit with the Goatman.
And the thing is, you want to visit the Goatman. He's actually like a really respectful guy from what I've heard.
He's a cool dude, that Goatman.
You see, there's never any sightings of Goatman, unfortunately. He's more of like a
kick back,
symbol
offer you a beer.
Of the unknown and pure evil.
The unknown, pure
I think
evil.
Goatman is one of the most fascinating cryptids. Aaron thrown 20
Sam
feet
Hyde is
at
Goatman.
Goatman's
Yeah.
bridge.
That's why he can't be stopped.
Kinda
That's why he can't be
clickbait is
captured
this?
with mortal film unless he's fighting somebody in the ring.
Jesus Christ, it's a half man, half ghost, a goat, not a Jedi. He's not fucking playing tricks on you.
I don't know. Maybe he is critical. Maybe he is. How do I know?
Who do they think they're hunting? It's Goatman.
Oh, it's Zach Baggins.
It's a man
that
with all the
fuck.
powers of a goat.
Because of course it is.
Goatman just shuffles through and pushes him off the bridge.
Thank God, please. What happened? Gene, when was the last time you had a
Oh, God.
cigar with Goatman? I don't know. It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Goatman brings out the Glock.
Goatman brings up the clock.
Oh, fuck. He's lashing out.
He's lashing out.
Something unseen picked Aaron up and threw him this distance.
Fuck
Yeah, right.
me. Holy shit.
How did you hit the
How strong is Goatman?
What's wrong? You okay?
I'm bleeding everywhere, dude. I can feel blood just gushing
Through
out
him.
of me.
It's like some children playing pretend. Oh, I'm fucking bleeding everywhere. As everyone can see, he's not.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Goatman bit me with his vampire fangs. I'm gonna turn into a werewolf. I can feel it. Oh fuck. Oh my god.
Just hit me, and I was just like, whoa!
You know you were not.
All the way back there.
Well, did Goatman say anything to you? Like whisper anything? Like, hey, fuck you, buddy, something? Anything?
Eyes that had no body, and they were guarding the entrance to the forest.
And this is the entrance. It looks like a cave.
Oh my god.
Entrance is right here. As soon as he approached this.
That was Goatman. Was he down on all fours, or is he just 3 feet tall? Holy shit. I was wrong. It looks like there is actual documented sightings from credible sources. I think we're getting very close to finally catching Goatman. And it's about fucking time. He's terrorized this town for too long. This bridge, it deserves to be saved. God damn it, if it takes Aaron getting thrown a football field away to do it, then so be it. A necessary sacrifice to stop Goatman.
Guarding the
He lets you milk him. You'd think it would be humiliating, but he's quite open about it. He's a nice guy. These guys must have done something to anger him greatly. Finally, someone that actually lives in Denton and knows a little something about the Goatman.
Finally, thank God.
They must have disturbed his nest.
They disturbed his nest. Thank you, Critical. Alright, next. We've got the Goatman scream to listen to. So, this is what it sounds like. This is what happens when he stubs his toe. Please be calm. When you see those tourists you wanted to kill, but the train hit them first, it'd be like, it'd just be a little bit like... That'd be, to be fair, that's what I sound like when I stub my toe too. Alright. Do I... Nah, we'll do one more. Darkness Prevails. No, it's not Darkness Prevails, it's Swamp Dweller, that's right. He has 5 Goatman stories for us. He's gonna narrate them. So here we go. We stubbed his hoof then. Be sure to subscribe, chat, to Swamp Dweller, I guess. I mean, I don't know. That's on
Most
his
of
channel.
February has been full of a lot of creepy cryptid sightings. And now, we're going to be sharing some allegedly true and creepy sightings of the Goatman. Welcome back to the swamp, my friends, and welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be sharing some creepy and allegedly true encounters with the legendary Goatman. As always, if you have a story that you would like to share in a future episode, whether it's an encounter with the Goatman or a different type of cryptid, I would love to see your story. Send it in at swampdweller.net or the email you can find in the description down below. Before we jump right into these scary stories though, I just wanted to let you guys know I am now streaming on Twitch. Every single day I'll be over there playing horror games, reading scary stories live, and just doing what I normally do over here, but just now on Twitch.
Now just
Unfortunately,
on Twitch.
YouTube is not really fond of streaming these days, and to make everything a little bit more streamlined, I think it would just be easier to do it over there. You can find the link to follow me over on Twitch in the description. Also, no, this does not mean I'm quitting YouTube. I will never quit YouTube.
Never
I will
quit,
always
ever.
upload, and I will still have videos every single day for you over here. Don't worry about that at all. Now, without further
Chills
ado,
number 15,
let us jump
Goatman
right into
foot
these
fetish.
creepy and allegedly true encounters with the Goatman.
Yes, Swamp Dweller YT is his name on Twitch, which means YouTube. That's great.
This all took place when I was 14.
Oh,
It
no.
was a Saturday, and we were going camping in one of the more rural parts
Until
of Jamaica.
YouTube quits you.
I won't
Canceled
name the
like a
place for
stamp.
privacy reasons. But first, here's some background. As I said, I'm 14 years old, about 5'3", and a medium frame build. In other
Okay.
words, I was a big kid. Anyway, back to the story. Where we were going from where we lived was about an hour and a half worth of driving. When we get there, we get our stuff from the truck and started hiking to a good spot. We come across a nice, calm, crisp-looking stream. So we decided to stop, get our fishing poles out, and get some dinner right away. About 2 hours later, we pack up and start again. By now, it's about 4:30 p.m., and we finally find a good enough spot and set up. Suddenly, we pick up this awful, pungent stench.
Awful stank.
It's honestly like expired sour cream and rotten eggs mixed in a
Gross.
toilet that hadn't been cleaned for years.
That's
and left
really
in the sun.
gross.
I felt chills go down my spine and a wave of dread rush over me when I heard the most
Disgusting.
shrillest,
Absolutely
ear-piercing
disgusting.
screech I'd ever heard in my life. I grabbed the sawed-off double-barrel shotgun and ran inside the tent.
You know, as you got
I fell
laying
asleep
around
quickly,
in most
despite
places,
it being
don't you?
only 6
I do.
p.m.
You do, right, Chet?
But
Yeah.
at about 2 a.m., I had awoken
Everyone
to
just
the
has
sound
a
of a
sawed-off
branch
double-barrel
snapping.
shotgun
To make
everywhere.
matters worse, I had to pee very bad.
Oh no, you have
Me,
to piss.
being a horror movie enthusiast, knew all too well
Enthusiast.
what could be happening in this situation. I laid still with my double-barrel shotgun in my hand, ready to fire if it came to the test. Fast forward about 10 minutes later when I heard my uncle scream.
No, Will.
I quickly woke my dad up, who was sleeping next
Supposed
to
to
me.
be the horror
and slowly walked out of the
enthusiast,
tent,
aren't you?
thinking he was just trying to play a trick on us. Nothing could have ever
Nothing.
prepared me for what I saw.
A dead body.
This thing was at least 8 feet tall. It had the smell that I described earlier. It had 2 horns sticking out of its head, but they were deformed looking. I don't know how to explain it. It stood on 2 awfully man-like legs. I thought I was in hell looking at the devil himself.
What?
It probably wasn't more than a second or two before I fired a shot at this thing's leg. It jolted back, so human-like. A little too human-like.
A little
Then it
too
happened.
human.
This thing turned around and acknowledged us, almost as if it wanted to speak. And it kind of did. I don't
Kinda.
exactly
Not
remember
really,
what
but
it
it
said,
kinda
or
did.
what it sounded like it was saying, I should say. But it spoke in a deep, raspy voice. I remember it had hellish red gleaming eyes that stared through my soul.
Do you?
Then I shot it again. This time in the back of its disgusting devil-like back covered with white.
Fuck your
dirty,
disgusting
disgusting-looking
devil-like back.
fur. After about 5 seconds or so, the thing ran off into the woods, leaving a trail of blood. I looked over at my uncle. He was almost in tears, and, as was my dad,
Almost.
they were both frozen in fear. I don't know what the heck it was, and I don't know how I wasn't in fear either. We all stayed in one tent, packing our stuff up and planning to book it back to the truck as soon as the sun came up. After about 7 hours, the sun finally came up and we did as planned. When we got to the truck, we started to drive out of there like bats out of hell. On the ride home, we didn't say a word, nor did we when we got home. You'd think the story ends here. Well, not all
Well,
fairy
you're
tales
wrong,
have
it
happy
doesn't.
endings. About 2 weeks later, we went down to the countryside to look for my aunt, uncle, and cousins. The drive was about 3 hours away from where we lived, so we were going to spend the night with them. When we get there, we see them all standing in the front patio waiting for us with a look of joy on their faces.
So
Now,
that
to
never
describe
happened, I
the
deleted
place,
it.
it was about a 5-acre, empty woodland area.
But it did happen.
But it had great lighting around the house. From
So
the
good job,
LED
Cindy, without
solar-powered
even trying
lights.
to. You've exposed him.
After about 10
He's
minutes of walking and
exposed
catching
forever.
up, we all go inside and make our way to the bathrooms to freshen up. When I'm finished, I get out and make my way to the room I'm staying in. And my 2 cousins, Brian and Mario, who were both 6 at the time,
Oh, the Italians, I
came
see.
in and wanted to play Forza. When it was about 10 p.m., I decided that I was
Mario,
going to bed.
Mario, and Luigi
I said my
Mario,
good
the
nights
brothers,
and
you
went
know.
up to the room.
You know 'em, we
It
all
was
do.
dark, but I did not bother to turn on the light. I just went straight over to the bed and tucked in. I heard the door open, but I just brushed it off as my cousins. About 2 hours
But
later,
it wasn't
Mario
my
comes in,
cousins.
turns on the light and screams.
It was a
I will never forget the
demon.
look on his face when I asked, "What's wrong?" He looked at me as if he had just killed someone accidentally. It was almost as if he wanted to say oops and started
Accidentally.
raging. He was in total
Lame.
awe. It was the thing from earlier. It just walked over to the open window, which was about 2 stories off the ground, made its way down and walked away into the woods like nothing ever happened. It moved so human-like, so disgusting, so purposely. When everyone ran up to
Yes,
us and
it's
asked what
disgusting when it
happened,
moves
when we
human-like.
finished telling them the story, Brian simply said,
God,
"Goatman."
gross.
Fortunately, this was the last time I personally had an experience with this creature, and I hope I never will again. But sometimes I still wonder what would have happened if I turned on the light, or if Mario didn't come in when he did. Or if he had laid down next to this thing without bothering to turn on the light. I'm glad I don't know. This happened a long time ago, and was one of the first encounters I have ever had. I was 9 years old, staying with my grandmother on a reservation. I am Native American, Cree to be exact. And I was only supposed to be there for about a day or two.
Shh, keep it secret.
But then it started to storm badly, lasting nearly 4 days. To this day, one of the worst storms we have ever had. The power was out for maybe 3 days, so no
We
lights,
have to take
no
out Gene
stove,
Cindy, he's
nothing.
the one that knows.
The The layout of my grandma's house is important. I don't think you would even call it a house. It looked more like
just
a trailer
being nonchalant,
house,
nothing
the kind
going
you would
on.
see in Trailer
Yeah,
Park
totally.
Boys.
I believe
It must have
it.
been the third night because the day after
I
we
believe
ate
it.
boiled eggs. My cousin, my aunt, and I were all sleeping in the living room, and from where I was sleeping, you could see through the kitchen window. I was woken up by the sound of something talking in a strange voice. At the
That's
time,
just the
I
voices
couldn't
in
think
your
of what
head.
it was, but it reminded me of something. But now, after thinking about it for years, it sounded like a goat trying to speak English. I still don't know what it was trying to say.
But I
heard
told it to
something
fuck
roughly
off.
like, "Hey, boys, hey." I just got chills typing that. At first,
You got
I
chills
thought it was just
typing
my
it?
cousin being annoyed, but then I noticed there was a big figure standing outside of the kitchen window. It had its fist against the glass, like it was trying to peer in and see what was inside. And
Well, maybe
when
you
I
could tell
noticed
it to
was
fuck
banging on
off.
the window, not hard enough to make a ton of noise though, I saw the outline of horns, like big horned goats have. It had fur covering its entire
like a
body
mountain
from what I
goat.
could see. And then,
Or a
lightning
ram.
flashed, and I saw its face. It's very hard to describe, but it looked like what you could imagine a goatman to look like. Maybe a bit more on the goat side, though.
Just maybe.
It had red eyes, but they were not glowing. It looked old and rough. Its fur was mostly gray
Oh, it
with a
looked
little
rough,
bit of
alright.
brown. The window that it was at was about 6 feet above the ground, or more. I don't really remember. So, I would say this thing had to be 7 to 7.5 feet tall. Throughout the night, it just stayed in that same exact spot. But the banging slowly turned into scratching, and attempts to speak turned into growls and shouting. Lightning flashed a few times more, and every time I could see the anger on its face growing more and more. I eventually woke up my cousin, crying. She came and lay with me until I fell asleep. I had a hard time falling asleep because every time I closed my eyes, I would see the eyes looking back at me. And when I finally did fall asleep, I had a nightmare involving the Goatman. In my dream, I watched him walk over to our neighbor's house and brutally murder them, and come back with a decapitated head and swing it
Jesus.
around in my face. He was taunting me. Why?
He was taunting
I
me,
still
that
don't
goat
know.
man.
What's weird is that my cousin said that she couldn't see it, but she could hear it.
Well, you're
the growling,
dreaming, so.
scratching, everything. We talk about it often, and I remember at one point moving to another room and looking outside of the window and seeing its full body, which
Its
was not like a
full
minotaur
body.
but a centaur.
Okay, so it looks
It
like a
noticed
centaur
me,
now instead
and
of a
that's
goat
when it
man.
ran back into the woods after I ran back into the living room. I forgot to mention that the morning after, we decided to check outside for evidence, and we found huge hoof prints going from the window to the woods.
Huge footprints.
The footprints
Like
were
you'll never
probably
see.
the size of 2 open hands. They were rather big, way too big for any normal goat. Now, I've read countless stories on websites and listening to your show, but none of them come close to this
And a
night.
great big bushy
It was the
beard.
scariest encounter I've ever had, and I've seen a lot of weird things. About 10 years ago, my best friend and I decided to stop at a local hangout of ours in Bowie, Maryland.
Oh
We
boy,
grew
back
up
to
here
Maryland.
And spent our early years wandering the railroad tracks and woods, smoking and drinking as children do.
You know,
So
as you
this
do.
one spot is a railroad overpass at 450 and 197. There's a parking lot and a small area of grass and trees, about 30-foot strip of land separating the tracks and the lot. So, it's nighttime, and we decide to go
So,
there to smoke
it's nighttime.
cigarettes. We go
It
on the
just
tracks
is.
and
Don't-
we're facing the
don't worry
parking
about
lot.
it.
So the overpass is to our left and the tracks go on our right. Now, we're smoking and chilling, and he's talking. But the entire time I'm focused to my right, peering down this track
Where the
because I have
demon
this strange
is.
feeling. It's hard to describe. I wouldn't know until after listening to this show that it was the feeling of being watched by a
He's got a
predator,
feeling.
which I've never experienced before this moment. After about 2 minutes or so, we were almost done smoking our cigarettes. A helicopter flies right above us, seemingly at tree level, with a spotlight going right over us, coming into the direction of the overpass. Not even 10 seconds later, I hear the gravel shift from between the tracks and I look toward the overpass. Standing right in the center of the overpass, there is this giant silhouette. Now, since it is dark and it's under the overpass, I can only see its silhouette. It's easily 8 or 9 feet tall, and burly looking as all get out. It was huge, and we only looked at it for a few seconds before I said, let's get out of here.
Fucking damn diamonds.
Now, we hurriedly started rushing away, when we hear the gravel move closer, and not even a couple of seconds later, we both hear the most demonic, horrifying, multiple-pitched screech, literally right behind our heads.
Can you not
It came
do that,
no more
demon
than a foot
Goatman?
behind us. So of course we book it to his car, and no, we did not look back because are you kidding me? We had to get out of there.
Are you kidding me?
We got to
We're
his
not gonna
car.
look back.
Funnily
That's
enough,
for
as
people
we were
that
trying to
have
get out of there,
guts.
his lanyard got stuck on the steering wheel, causing us to get even more panicked and freak out even more.
His
All we could
lanyard
do
got stuck
was
on the
just
steering
shout
wheel.
obscenities over and over. And that's my encounter with the Mothman.
Wait, what?
Now, a week later, after hanging out with one of our other friends,
The Mothman? You
they
said
told us a
Goatman.
story
What are these
about
lies?
some interesting things since they spent a lot of time in those woods. He was telling us about how last week the cops were out there in the woods because they heard screams and thought somebody was being, attacked. Now, I asked him if they had helicopters out, and he said yes. And I asked him what day it was, and it was the same night we saw the Goatman. So we told him our
So you said
experience,
Mothman, but now
and
it's
he was
Goatman
like,
again.
"Yeah,
Okay.
that was probably him.
So you had a
We saw
boo-boo
the
there.
Goatman."
Swamp dweller. And you kept that in. I feel lied
Hi,
to.
my name is Daniel, and this encounter took place during Easter weekend. It should be known that I am 19 and I'm no stranger when it comes
I'm
to
no
alcohol,
stranger to the
but I only
outdoors
have a few
because
drinks
I
if
am
offered.
Brovet.
You see, my dad wanted to spend Easter with my grandma, who lives up by herself in a small
And I'm a cool
cottage
dude,
in
and
the
I will hook
Ozarks
you up,
in
fellow
Missouri.
Brovets.
The only thing around her
That
house
reminded
for
me of
miles
instantly.
are a few farms and a large forest. Whenever you go to visit my grandma, she would always tell us about how she would be hearing eerie noises coming from
Thanks,
the forest
AC.
at night. We got there in the late afternoon on Saturday, and me and my dad wanted to share a few drinks before we all headed off to bed to get ready for the egg hunt my grandma had planned for my niece and nephew. Around 1 in the morning, I woke up due to the call of nature and
You
headed
had to pee.
downstairs to use the bathroom. After I finished, I made my way back to the bedroom before stopping as I heard my dad call out for me. I went to where I heard it coming from and noticed it was coming from outside. So I began to make my way to the front door before noticing something that stopped me dead in my tracks. There, on the couch was my dad, who had a few empty beer bottles on the floor around him, but was very much passed out. And that's when I heard it. It was my dad's voice calling my name, yet it sounded off somehow. It sounded like someone recorded my dad's voice and played it over a voice modifier. It just sounded so weird, and it was coming from right outside the door. I slowly approached the front door before I stopped and went to go take a peek out the window, when all I saw was pitch black, but I could see the faint outline of a figure standing at the door. At first, I thought it was a person, but when I saw that this thing had horns on its head like some kind of demon, I'm not sure how, but I swear this thing knew I was looking at it, because as soon as I got a good look at it, it turned and stared at me with these piercing red eyes, before saying something that chilled me to the bone.
Got a light?
"Daniel, please, let me in."
Oh no, it used
At
my
that
name!
point, I ran throughout the house making sure every single window
Bro, that was not
and
cool
door,
as the
or
demon
any
used my
entrance at
name.
all was locked
I
tight.
couldn't take it and had to
Surprisingly,
leave.
no one heard a single thing, and I did not get a wink of sleep that night. Easter came and went, although the whole time I felt like I was being watched. And as we left my grandma's
watched?
house, there in the tree line, I saw it.
I too am being
It
watched.
stood 7 feet tall from what I could guess, and was covered in messy black hair. It was built like a man, and I'm sure if I could see its feet, it would have had hooves. The head reminded me of a goat, and an aged homeless man at the same time.
So it's a
Before I could
homeless
stare any
man.
longer, the creature retreated back
Thank
into
you
the
for
forest.
acknowledging it's a homeless
I've never
person.
told my family of this encounter, but I'm just glad I hadn't opened that door. If I did, I probably wouldn't be here today writing this. But now I am filled with concern because that thing is still out there. And what if it decides to
Sitting
go
out
after
there,
my grandma this time?
menacingly.
If you live in the Ozarks in Missouri, or plan on taking a trip there, I do caution you to be careful out there. And if you hear something calling you at night, definitely do not go check it out. You never know what could be lurking on the other side of that door.
Your own personal Goatman. Waiting to kill what he says.
Hello, I currently go to college
Hello.
in Maryland.
Are you
and I've
filming?
lived
Are you
here most of
fucking
my
taking
life.
this in from
My story takes place
drive-in?
6 months ago.
Why'd the audio
At the
quality
time, I
turn
was
to
still a
suck
high school
ass?
senior, living the life I want to live, working with theater, having a nice girlfriend, etc.
Yeah,
An
keep
important
going.
point to note in my story is at the time I was in an AP art class.
Oh, aren't
with
we
a
fancy?
concentration set of pieces revolving around a certain category of fear. Having already submitted a few potential college credits, my teacher gave us banners to work on so she could hang them up in her room for next
7
year's
foot tall and
classes to
hairy, so
see.
in Italian.
I was having a certain amount of artist block, but I had a lot of time, so I watched a good deal of YouTube in the meantime. I was looking at something related to Call of Duty when I noticed a video regarding something called the Goatman. Being thoroughly enticed, I clicked on the video and listened. It had my attention enough that I decided it would be the subject of my artwork. As I researched further, I also noted that it was close to home, just on the other side of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, close to Bowie, Maryland.
More Maryland
Being a
Goatman.
high school student close to graduation, I thought it would be a fine idea to have a small trip to look it over. I enlisted 2 of my friends, who I will call Brennan and Carmen for the purposes of my story. I had brought up the idea of this to other people who thought it would be a waste of time, including my girlfriend. I wasn't a skeptic of the existence of cryptid animals, and while Brennan was, Carmen was in the same boat as me. So we set off to Prince George's County on a Friday night so we didn't have to worry about waking up or having any impending finals waiting for us. With us, we brought a couple of cameras, our phones, snacks, and anything we
I
needed
am
for a
Italian.
scouting
I've
trip
never
in the
been
woods.
Italian over 6 feet.
As Carmen drove, I continued my research, taking note of creatures such as wendigos and skinwalkers. But I was very excited about the possible promise of the Goatman. After about an hour
promise
of
of the
driving,
Goatman.
we reached our destination at about 9ish
Sounds
at
like
night.
some sleazy
It
fucking...
just turned dark and it was quite warm out, expected of early summer.
Like some sleazy
Carmen
fucking
informed me and Brennan that
story
it
or
was
something.
time to go out and go begin our search. She parked the car alongside a stretch of road with forest on either side. With very little traffic, we turned on the flashlights we brought so that we could save the phone battery. Not that it would have mattered since we had no service. Even though I thought I had full bars when we went through town, just the forest, I figured.
He
We trudged
figured
through
just the
woods,
forest, but he was
listening to
wrong.
the sounds of nature. Brennan and Carmen are talking ahead of me. Apparently some long-term couple at school had just broken up, lots of juicy details. As we continued our discussion, I noticed that there was kind of... I'm not really sure how to describe it because of how little I felt it, but there was just a nagging feeling on my shoulder. I swept it off though. It's been a while since I've been through the woods. Maybe I was just paranoid. We were just having a good time, joking around and having a lot of jollies, when we suddenly heard a snap. Something I always knew was that in this area, the only thing that could snap a branch would be a human. We were stopped in our tracks and looked in the direction of the noise. Just deep blackness. Brennan called out.
Deep blackness.
Anyone there? With no response, we eased up a little. It was at this moment I regretted not bringing the machete I left at home. Despite that, the sounds of the forest were still present and we kept moving, more alert now. It's about our 4th hour hiking, so it's about 1 a.m. Having found nothing of interest, Brennan looks slightly peeved while I have my arm around Carmen because she claimed being cold, which it was surprisingly chilly being in the middle of summer. Are we ever going to find... Brennan is cut off by the snap of another tree branch. We stop dead in our tracks. This time I notice the sounds of the forest are gone. The nagging feeling I felt earlier is emphasized greatly, almost like it's telling my body to get out. Carmen looks up with me, wide-eyed, and says, "What was that?" Clearly panicked. I shake my head, a chill down my spine. I don't know. When we begin to hear footsteps again, they sound much heavier than a human. We looked at each other looking for an answer, and only freak each other out more when we can't give one. We walk back the way we came slowly when my foot lands on something with a small squish. I look down and I see a squirrel's body, or what's left of it anyway, with a large bite taken out of its stomach, with only small bits of entrail left. I quiver, that feeling reaching a peak as if it's going to explode. When the bar fills,
explode.
Brennan gasps. I see that he's looking at a certain area and I turn slowly to check. Carmen hides her face behind her hoodie-sleeved arm, only showing her eyes. We focus on the spot that Brennan is looking at. Standing there is a dark shape maybe 40 yards
T-posing.
away. I can't get a good grasp of what I'm looking at. It's huge, but humanoid. But its legs are all wrong. They're more bent like a horse's, or perhaps a goat. Carmen stifles a scream
Huge
as
but
the figure just
humanoid.
complacently stares at us. As my eyes adjust, I notice the shape of its head. Its facial features are blacked out, with our flashlights only reaching so far, but I can make out the horns on top of its head. Brennan is the first one to take action, yelling, "Run!" as he yells and grabs me and Carmen.
Good
I
job.
stumble, but I get good footing quickly as I sprint as hard as I can back to the direction of the car. After 10 minutes of steady sprinting, we slow as we seriously need to catch our breath. What was that?
What
Carmen
was
asks,
that?
huffing. Neither Brennan nor I answer, but I think we can agree on what we saw. We didn't want to admit it, but we also didn't want to feel like we were giving him power by evoking his name. We slowly go back into the car, which we would make it to in about an hour and a half. The entire time, the forest sounds were absent, almost making our footsteps echo. Carmen is mumbling to herself while Brennan and I try to make small talk to ebb away at the deafening silence of the forest. Then we hear it. Something between a wail, a scream, and some sort of animal? It couldn't be. We sprint again, making our way back to the car. Something was here. There were claw-like marks on the sides of the car, peeling the steel like a knife through butter. We decided it would be much better if we investigated once we got home. The car ride home was silent. We put on some Hamilton on the radio, as it's a musical we all like to sing to, but no one felt like singing. Brennan looked out the window still pale, while Carmen looked more depressed if anything. "My parents will
Still
kill me because
pale.
of the car," she said finally. I couldn't say anything. My mind was still in a daze. What was that thing? We have told all of our friends the story, but as to be expected, nobody believed us.
Well, no shit.
I still have so many questions, and one day, I hope, that I find out for sure that what I saw was the Goatman.
You won't. Thanks, Porky, you cursed us.
Thanks for listening to these creepy and allegedly true Goatman encounter horror stories. If you enjoyed these stories, please be sure to hit that like button as it helps me out a ton. The more likes this episode gets, the more YouTube promotes it, and that's very helpful to the swamp. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcast or Spotify, please be sure to give this episode a 5-star rating over there, as it's very helpful.
Let me see,
If
just
you're new to
just
the swamp,
curious,
why
is there
not
any
join
more
it?
Goatman horror stories that are, like, short? So we can, like, listen to one? Because we still have a little bit of time left before it's 12. Is there any that are, like, super short? No, a lot of these are long. Look at this shit. All these Goatman horror stories. Real Goatman stories. Real Goatman sightings. Real Goatman stories. True Goatman stories. Look at all... Oh, there's BuzzFeed. Oh, that's good. Real 10 years... Kiki... I don't even know what the fuck that is. As a Goatman story illustrated. Nah. No, no, no. Scary people filmed in real life. Well, that guy looks like a goat man. Okay, fine. I guess that's it. I guess that's all we have for tonight. So thank you everyone for tuning in for the Eerie Hours. Hope we had a fun time watching. I'm going to do a little shilling and we'll be done. Don't forget the movie caption contest, movie picture, and movie hanger going on, so be sure to play those. I know you've always already forgotten Porky, so don't worry about it. I don't think anything's going to be going on Saturday, so, you know, there's that. And Sunday will be a Fans of Fiction with me and Weeb, so be sure to tune in for that. If he's around, that is. I gotta make sure he will be. But you never know. Anyway, with that all said, have a good night, everybody. I'll see you guys later. Peace.